all three of us don't need to clap.
Only one of us needs to.
Yeah,
but it's tradition, though.
Yeah,
it's tradition.
We just have to do it.
You know
it's
what?
fun. Like, I love clapping with the homies.
Do you want to know something? Hey, man, you got to clap with the homies, bro. Do you want to know something fucking hilarious? Is my cousin Jared is a big time fan of the podcast. I don't know if he still listens, but for sure when we had like just started, yeah, big time. He loved the fucking show, and I don't know if you've kept him in there still, but his favorite fucking part was the clap, bro. Like he was like,
I've taken him out.
He was like, oh, it's just like such like a cool like behind the scenes thing. Like you never think about that, and like you guys just have it in your episode, and it's dope and shit. And I was like, oh yeah, like we just leave it in there right now because we need to sync up the sound. But like, yeah, thanks. We totally did that on purpose.
Yeah, I have since taken it out. If you guys do listen to the podcast currently, you will know like, hey, there is no clap at the beginning.
Yeah. Do you know what the clap is for? Do you know why we do it?
No.
All it is literally is because that camera over there is not recording this through the same like system that our audio equipment
But it's
is
to link it up when you
exactly
guys
so that you
splice
have
it.
a visual cue and a sound cue to link the sound and the
So
video.
how many
together.
episodes ago did you take out the clap?
Yeah, how
I
long
don't
has
even.
it
I
been?
don't even remember.
Probably just a while at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
like in the beginning I didn't because I was lazy and I just didn't want two separate audio files.
Yeah.
Like one for the video and one for the podcast, just because it does take up space on a fucking hard drive. But since then, I have just been like, you know what? Just cut off the ends, just to make it a more, I don't know, like to me it just sounds nicer when it like we just come in talking and it's just
No,
like
yeah.
a 1, 2, 3. Like I did like it in the beginning. Don't get me wrong. Like
It's
I was
just
fucking with
it feels
but-
more casual.
Yeah, and but
you
it's
know?
just
I mean,
more
you can only
like,
have the clap for so long, you know.
it just feels a
Yeah.
little bit more professional, you know? Like, in a movie, they're not going to leave the fucking, like...
claps later in there, yeah.
Take one.
Yeah,
Like, you know, so that's what...
One can only clap for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. If you get one of those...
Performance enhancers?
Yeah, if you get one of those pills at the gas station, you could probably go pretty long.
Probably clap for a few episodes at least.
But yeah, what is going on, everybody? You know what it
Isn't.
is. Yeah. That's funny because that's like a moment in like fucking... Like, that's like a moment in a Wes Anderson movie.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
people
big
say,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you gonna know what it is, guys. It's Too High for TV, where two guys get too high and talk about a little bit too much TV.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit.
We're at episode number 63, and we brought back an old guest. You guys haven't seen him in a while.
Classic guest.
You guys might have already recognized his voice when you heard him because he was already talking. you
Yeah.
know? But
Yeah.
it's okay. But it's okay. But it's okay. This guy, he's an OG of the podcast. He was on within the first 20 episodes. His
Yeah.
first episode was episode number 11.
We just looked it up.
When
That's
we did-
early as fuck.
When we
dude.
did our first Wes Anderson episode,
Yeah.
this guy's got muscles. His muscles have muscles. And his muscles just keep getting muscles. Guys, Jacob's here on the podcast. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. How you been?
Good.
Dude, you were back when we still used to film over there
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
couch.
Yeah, when I was separate from everybody.
Yeah, you had your table over there still. Yeah.
Mhm.
Those are the old days, dude.
The OG
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, you're like the hostess over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If people watched the very first episode, they will know our first episode was shot right
Over
over
here.
there,
Yeah.
So
Very
that
first one we ever
yeah.
did.
So Jacob, that green chair used to be in that corner right there where the treadmill was at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so the first episode, I was like, oh yeah, let me just take this and put it right there.
Yeah.
And it was cool, but
It was
just-
nice. It
just-
was more intimate, but it
Yeah.
definitely felt like a tea time podcast.
yeah.
Like you're sitting at your
It
grandma's
was
house.
just the green chair. What do you
Yeah,
guys-
yeah.
You guys like sit together or have
Yes.
the green
Well,
chair?
Yeah, he was like Santa
Yeah.
Claus. I was like
You sat on
the
his
elf.
lap? You're like, no, I just made Daniel sit on the
Yeah,
floor.
no, I was just crisscross applesauce down there.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
And
But
then,
yeah.
yeah, I think the first time we used the
TBT.
couch was Danielle and Frankie.
Yep.
Because there was 4 of us, and
Mhm.
obviously we couldn't all squeeze in over there. And I think it's pretty much just stayed the same. We might have gone back to that couch over there a couple times, but it stayed the same pretty much after that. We've been on this couch for a while.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It just feels like a podcast couch, you know?
Yeah,
That's a little tight over there. That's very love seat
a little bit.
vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Whoever is sitting next to me is going to be cozy. We're going to be rubbing thighs
I mean,
for
this is
sure.
a comfortable couch too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you get lost in this couch, man.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
This is a great couch, dude. I love this. This was like the couch that when it was Christmas time, like where the camera's at, the Christmas tree would be. When we're opening up presents, you know, everyone's sitting on this couch. Me and all my cousins are sitting on the couch, waiting for our name to get called.
This is the one. This has lots of memories, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. Used to fuck with Christmas back then because it was. I mean, I still fuck with Christmas.
Yeah, I
Not like
love
I don't.
Christmas.
Yeah, I love. That's my favorite holiday.
Me
straight
too,
up.
hands down.
But like back then, all the family would get together, and my grandpa had like a microphone. I don't know what I like. I'm thinking back to it. I don't know what the fuck it was connected to.
The microphone?
Yeah, like I don't know what speakers he had that it was. I don't know what speaker he had that it was connected to. Like now that I'm thinking about it, but he just had a microphone, and he'd be like, "All right, next present is blah blah blah." blah.
You know what I wonder is like they used to, or not used to. I wonder if they used to have them. Is like they have those ones that are, they have like the speaker built into them, and you can like modify your voice. You can make it like super deep, or you can do like the chipmunk voice or whatever.
Put like auto tune on your voice.
Yeah, you get them at Target for like fucking $30 or something like that. They're super cheap. But I wonder if they had those back then. The only thing I remember was like the toy version of it, and I don't know how it fucking worked, but like you would speak into it and it would somehow like make your voice like a little bit louder. Do you remember what I'm talking about or no?
Or like distorted or something.
Kind
like
of,
that.
yeah. It sounded almost microphone-ish, but you could tell it was definitely like a cheap toy way of like making it happen. But I do hell remember having those when I was a kid. Like, I think it was literally just like vibrations through whatever thing it was
I remember
connected
having
to.
like a little megaphone one that kind of made your voice sound like raspy or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
I just remember
I
like
remember seeing it in a movie one time, like a heist movie or something
Uh-huh.
like that, and they were like talking on it through it, like
Yeah.
to the.
there used to be the ones where you like I had like the speakers like on the fucking like you have like the little thing that you hold onto the microphone and then there's like a box above it which is like the
yeah.
speaker, and then-
That's and then the
Yeah.
microphone's on top of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember remember like the plastic one that had like the holes in it and you just fucking talk into
That's
it.
what I'm talking about. Yeah. It like vibrates to like make it sound like a microphone or something.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit was awesome. I used to
Yeah.
have that when I was a kid.
I loved those motherfuckers, dude.
We were fucking talking into microphones. See, we were destined to do this, bro.
Dude, straight up.
Been
bro.
talking into toy
My-
microphones since we
my
were
Just
kids.
get one and do a
earliest-
whole episode
my-
like that. Yeah.
My earliest memory of talking on a microphone was like vivid that I still remember and think about probably daily is like in 4th grade there was this like big assembly that we had like outside, and for some reason they had like a mini like I wouldn't call it like an associated student body because we're like it was just like it was elementary school, but it was like a group of us that were gonna go up on stage and like MC kind of, right? So there was like different groups. So I like it was different pairs and different pairs had like different jokes. Like we wrote like they gave us jokes
Yeah.
and like low-key I had a hella racist joke.
No
Not like hella racist, but it was like
But it was racist.
But it was like what do you call 4 cowboys in quicksand? And it was like cuatro cinco. And so like I had to say that. But like I just remember it as like being in 4th grade and me going up there like on stage and talking in front of like a bunch of fucking people
Yeah.
and being like, damn, this is pretty fucking cool.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was up there and I was like, hey man, what do you call
Dude,
what do you call 4 cowboys in quicksand? And
Dude.
I was like, what do you call it?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, Cuatro
Cuatro
Cinco,
Cinco.
bro. And I was like, oh shit.
Bro, that shit's like fucking crack, dude. As soon
Yeah.
as you get like your first laugh on stage or like in class or something like that, it's
You're
like,
like,
oh my god,
Yeah.
this feels
Fucking great.
good.
Become a clown. Yeah. you
Yeah.
gotta-
You're like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also remember in elementary school, I used to like, whenever we were like in lines, like you would always like do your fucking like your earthquake drills where you get in
Yeah.
line and you fucking walk out and do shit like that. And I remember like this was the time when the free credit report.com
Oh,
those
yeah, the
those commercials were hella
yeah,
popping,
yeah.
and I knew like all the lyrics to like every single one. And me and the other homie who I forget his fucking name, but he was the one that was on stage with me when I said that the Cuatro Cinco joke, right? And we would just be fucking like singing that shit. And I remember in class, like the teacher was just like hell laughing. I was like, hey, can we just fucking sing in front of everybody?
Yeah.
So the other dude was like, dude, I don't want to fucking do this. And I was like, dude, just fuck it, bro.
Like, you're
I was
gonna-
I was in like 4th grade. And
Yeah.
so we got up in front of the class like
Just
for like
jamming
30
out to it.
seconds and did the free credit
Yeah.
report. Just, I don't know. It was funny.
Some fucking what's his name? Max what's his last name? Rushmore?
Max Fisher.
Max Fisher. Some Max Fisher vibes? He's like,
Nah, not like
he's,
that.
He's asked to stand in front of the classroom today and deliver some words. No.
not like that. Not like that. Not like that. Oh, God. Shout out Max Fisher.
Shout out Max Fisher. Oh, we'll get into it later, but I have to say, I did not remember that character like I thought I did.
This was my first time watching that
Yeah.
movie.
By the
Rushmore.
yeah,
Mhm.
by the end of the movie, I was like,
Mount
okay, this is
Rushmore.
more what I
He's in
remember.
most of Wes Anderson's movies.
Oh yeah, Jason
Yeah.
Schwartzman. Yeah, he's a big time Wes Anderson actor.
He was in Rushmore. He's recently in Asteroid City. He
Yep.
was in
I think he's in French Dispatch. I
That's
still
another
haven't
one I
seen
haven't
that
seen
one,
that one.
but
He's in Moonrise.
yeah,
Is he in Moonrise? I haven't watched that one in a
Isn't he
while.
like one of the camp
leaders or
camp
whatever.
leaders?
Yeah, I
Possible,
think so.
possible.
Yeah.
It is highly he's one of those directors, as we've talked about in previous episodes, that he uses a lot of the same actors, which I appreciate. It's nice.
Bro, the amount of A-list actors in this movie though,
Kind of insane.
kind of insane.
Kind of really insane.
I feel like people were just like he had A-list actors that only had like a 2-3 second part or like 2-3 minute part.
That's what's like one of the craziest things to me is like, what do you think of that? It's weird, right?
It's strong.
It's different,
It's
right?
gasoline, but it's like botanically gasoline.
Botanically gasoline. I like
Yeah.
that. That's good.
That's not a phrase I like when I'm drinking alcohol.
Botanically gasoline.
No.
That sounds like a dictator's name from old Italian World War II. Botanically gasoline.
Canto botanica gasoline.
Watch out for the Axis powers or whatever the fuck they're called. Botanically gasoline.
Yeah, I think there was like Axis. And then
Yeah,
there
I'm not a
was-
history buff.
Yeah, neither am
I can make jokes about it, but I can't be accurate.
Allied in the Axis. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but then there was like that was what World War One,
Those.
World War Two. What
Actually,
about
wasn't
World
it
War...
both technically?
No,
It
I
was
think
just-
I think there was different names in World War One and World War Two.
Yeah.
World War One was the Great War.
The Great War.
Yeah, that was
World
the
War
bad
Two
one.
was the war to end all wars,
Yeah, except it wasn't though.
but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
World War II was what like Germans, Italians, and
Japanese, right?
Japanese. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Then on our side it was like Americans, Russians, and
World War One was still
The
also
French.
Germans, right?
yeah.
But
But
other
they were like
people.
low key. They were like low.
Yeah,
key.
they weren't like Hitler's Nazi Germany yet. It was like just regular bad Germany.
Yeah,
They were still
Yeah.
hardcore.
They weren't
Honestly, a
super
good-
bad Germany.
A good,
Yeah, they're just kind of bad
a
Germany.
good movie to understand the German side of World War One is that All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, dude, my grandpa has been talking up that movie a lot.
I watched
He
it.
said
And
it's
honestly,
really
bro,
good.
it's hardcore. You realize, like, okay, like a lot of those German people were just like forced in. Like, it was
Yeah.
just like the higher power. I
Well,
like how every war is. Pretty
yeah,
much.
exactly.
But it's just like higher powered dudes just
Yeah.
telling you to go fight.
Same
and a bunch
way-
of young kids all
Yeah.
fucking like excited for it. And
No,
shit.
it's crazy. It makes sense, right? Like we grew up being like taught to like view everything a certain way, but like now that things are becoming a little bit more like, okay, let's take a look at the other side. It's like, yeah, of course it makes sense that in the same way like American youngsters would get drafted and shit, like why wouldn't they do that over in Germany?
Yeah.
Like of course. People are
modernism.
gonna get brainwashed.
Modernism, brother.
Modernism, brother.
Modernism, and then postmodernism after World War.
Oh, I don't know what
Hey,
that
I've been
is,
listening
but
to.
I like
was,
it.
So I was because I like. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Asteroid City today. Not
Yeah.
yet, but
and Rushmore.
yeah, and Rushmore. But anyway, so on my so after a movie like Asteroid City, I was like, fuck, I need to watch hella videos about this because I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like I liked the movie, but I left the first viewing like I don't know what's
What
going
just
down.
happened to me?
So there was a guy that was breaking down like there's a lot of like philosophy in like Wes Anderson's movies, and he's a very like postmodernistic like director and producer and stuff like that. And so basically like what modernism was like basically most of like the 19th and 20th century was the fact that there was just like absolute truths, right? Like
Yeah.
fucking like science and reason is absolute, and like if you believe in like religion, then that's the absolute truth. Like we all come from God, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. In
Po-
God we trust.
Yeah. So postmodernism was basically after like the mid 50s. A lot of people say the 60s or like the 70s is like where it started, but that was basically like stripping all those beliefs away
Yeah.
and like saying like there isn't like just one absolute truth. Like we are like a planet full of people, so there are like multiple truths because there's multiple perspectives.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Nowadays, like postmodern. I was listening to also a lot of podcasts about this too. Because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck postmodernism is. I don't know what the fuck modernism is.
Yeah.
I need to
I
understand.
would like to know.
So I was at work today and I was like, okay, let me throw on some podcasts, and it was basically explaining what postmodernism was. And postmodernism gets a bad rap nowadays because what that spawned was like nihilism and stuff like that. You know, like nothing matters or anything like that. So
Yeah, because it doesn't. No, I'm just kidding.
and I forgot where I was going. with that.
Postmodernism, nihilism, it gets a bad rap.
Oh yeah, it gets a bad rap, but like it's not really all bad because if you think about it, right? Like I have a different perspective on life. You have a different perspective on life. You have a different perspective on life.
Yeah.
They might be similar in ways, but we are our own people, so they're all
unique.
very different,
Yeah.
right? So that is like postmodernism is like there's quotes around everything, right? Like it's like that's how like in one of the podcasts they broke it down in layman's terms, right? So if you want to listen to that podcast about postmodernism, it is called Stuff You Should Know by iHeartRadio, and you just go on Spotify, and literally they have an episode called Postmodernism.
Nice.
And we are now in like the
postmodernism.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like we're moving out of that because like we're realizing because a lot of what postmodernism brought out is like, oh, nothing fucking matters and shit like that because there's all these crises and stuff like that. You know, we have mental health crisis. We have the fucking global warming, all that fucking shit, right? And basically what's happening now is like hyper modernism or like meta modernism, which like we honestly won't get the real definition for like probably like
somebody
10,
else like
20 more years because we are in just like the baby phase
right now,
of it. But it is basically like reintroducing like metamodernism in the way I understood it is reintroducing modernist ideas, like some ideas, right? Because in modernism you had like there was a lot of like romanticism, beauty, blah blah, and all that stuff, right? So it's metamodernism is still realizing there is like beauty and all that stuff, and it is okay to go out and search for all of that, and you don't have to be like so pessimistic, blah blah, and all of that. But it's also learning from postmodernism and like learning from the mistakes of postmodernism, because like, postmodernism like brought out a voice for like very like a lot of like minority groups, like a lot of like black people, LGBTQ, like a lot more people got to make more art, got to have more of like a voice and stuff like that. So it's not all bad, so it's learning from the mistakes of postmodernism and blah blah blah.
It's like going back to the old days, but you take off the rose tinted goggles.
Yeah,
you're like a little bit more on the ground about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Let's do it. I'm down. I love romance.
Yeah, straight up.
Let's go, man. I'm ready. I romanticize everything, as I'm sure you gentlemen know. That's cool. I gotta do some research on it.
Yeah. Again, I'm not the person that you should be coming to for all your philosophical needs, because I'm not a philosopher and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about most of the time. So, do your own research.
Yeah, do it. I did like a slightly opposite approach with the movie, because that was my first inkling, was like, okay, let me go watch a video that like explains to me what just happened, right? But I changed my mind this time, and I've been changing my mind in the last few years about this type of stuff, which is like I feel like I'm forgetting like the term for it, but like identity crisis is not right. Anyways, I feel like sometimes I just end up regurgitating ideas that I've heard in like videos or like read in articles or things like that, because I like so immediately try to like find understanding in like other people's versions of that stuff.
But do you click with it? Does it, like, when you hear that?
It does.
When you hear that, do you like, oh, that does make a lot of sense?
Yeah,
or
it does. Like, and that's why.
Or do sometimes you go back and you tell yourself like, oh, I saw that and it clicked, but I'm also like kind of being influenced by what I did.
Yeah. See, so that's like the line that I'm like trying to draw with myself. Is it's like I want to make sure I establish like my own opinion about something first and my own thoughts and like come to my own understanding about stuff. And then see if those things are still clicking, because like I want to make sure like I'm not just like spoon feeding myself. Because you know what, dude? Like I had such a fat realization about YouTube very recently, which is like, as much as I fucking love that platform and I have loved it since the day it came out, it's all regurgitated, recycled bullshit. Every single big name channel puts out the exact same video 10 times over as soon as something releases. A new movie comes out, every single channel does the same review on it. A new fucking game comes out, everybody does the same breakdown. Everybody does the same tips and tutorials. A new fucking...
And they're all they're tweaked a little bit.
Slightly, but it's the same fucking shit.
It's pretty much
it's exactly the same. And so like I've just like I've started to like wake up to that like more and more pretty recently, like starting this year. And so I'm like just trying to like filter it out for like my own sake of just like, damn it, okay, I want to like retain my individual thought. Like I want to be able to like keep my ability to think for myself. So like But I will say this though, I'm still fucking confused about what happened in that movie. So I am looking forward to hearing what you came upon with it, because I tried. And there's like a couple of things that I think I understand about it now, but I don't think I have like the tools that some of these other like analysts do out there to be able to like apply certain ways of thinking and like drawing on knowledge of other projects or art or whatever it is.
It's one of those movies, especially that you have to see more than once. Like, just watching it that one time, because a Wes Anderson movie, a lot of times you do have to watch more than once.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on.
Because there's usually a lot going on. So you see like the funny parts, you see the the symmetrical.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
The filming of it, the beautiful of it, the colors and shit like that. But then you got to watch it a few more times to be like, okay, well, what are they putting out? Like, what is the message they're putting out? Or even just the storyline. Yeah. You're just like, where's the climax of this and everything?
I've been like...
this was definitely one of those where you were like, damn, I gotta watch this again just to understand, because there was so much going on.
It's for sure one of his most challenging movies, I think. Like, just in terms of, like, challenging the audience to be like, okay, you need to sit and watch this
and really pay attention.
Well, because it's so layered. Like, even when I was watching it the second time, like, I still get lost in the fact that it's done so well that you are watching a play inside of a movie. Yeah, like you're watching a movie about a show that's talking about a dude making a play.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, it's like, what the fuck?
It's
and
awesome.
like, it's there's so there's so many
wall breaks.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
Like, I remember like watching it for the second time and still being like, oh my god.
Like, it's a trip. It's crazy.
Like, there's certain parts where I'm like, is this part of the play, or is this like the certain people that are playing the characters like leaking out?
Yeah,
because they're just not doing
their lines right, or
they're not like a big part in like the scene, right?
Yeah.
And so are they like breaking character, and they are the characters that they are in like the show about the fucking, you know what I'm saying? So there were still parts in like the second time where I was like, what the fuck?
No, it's wild. It's a trip. It's really cool.
But yes, we will get to that.
Yes.
First.
Shall we talk about how weeks, gentlemen?
Yes.
We haven't seen each other in about a week, right?
Know.
We saw it last Thursday.
God damn it.
Yeah, was it last
It was Jacob's birthday a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, dude. I didn't text you happy birthday. I feel so
this
bad.
Month it was,
I feel so bad, dude.
Yeah, but you texted me Happy Father's Day.
I did, dude. I did, because
I didn't expect when I saw that it was Ryan guy texting. I was like, wow, Ryan texted me.
Because you know, because I was sitting there and I was like,
shit. Now I feel bad because I didn't text you on Father's Day.
And you know what? I thought of that exact same thing. I'm like, fucking son of a bitch, Daniel. Fucking Happy Father's Day.
Damn it. You beat me to it, dude.
Dude, because like I didn't text you happy birthday, and I felt hella bad just because I was like, I don't know what I was doing that day, but I hella forgot and I didn't. And I'm like,
I don't blast it or anything either.
No, but I
try to keep it low key.
Like, I keep it pretty low key.
I tried to show appreciation for my friends as much as I can when I don't see them. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm the type of person where like I don't expect people to text me happy birthday, right? I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh my god, I'm waiting for this person to text me happy birthday. But when it's someone's birthday, I would like to be like, oh, let me text this person happy birthday, because I want to show them like, hey man, I fuck with you.
I love you, dog.
Yeah, I love you, man.
I fucking love you, dog.
And I didn't expect anybody, honestly. Every year that I have a birthday, I don't ever like really talk about it or anything or like boast about it. And usually like, you know, my family texts me or something like that. But honestly, this year I was hella surprised. Like hella people like messaged me and texted me.
You're cool. You're great. Like, you're a great dude, man.
You really are, man.
I was like,
that shit always
of
feels
all the
good.
years.
And that's why I texted you Happy Father's Day, because I was sitting there and I, you know, told my dad, you know, spent the day with my dad. You know, we chilled, watched baseball, smoked, whatever. And
I saw that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, told him Happy Father's Day. Told my grandpa Happy Father's Day. Called my other grandpa. And then I was just sitting there and I was like thinking about who else is like a dad, and I was like, damn, Jacob's a fucking dad. And I was like, he's a fucking great dad, and he's a cool ass fucking dad, you know? And I was like, so let me tell him Happy Father's Day, because it's like, dude, you're a dad, bro. We got to show appreciation for the fathers out there.
And you are a dope dad. He's 100% right, man. You got a good kid.
Yeah, you got a fucking great kid, man.
I appreciate you guys.
It's like when we went bowling and Bubba was like chilling there, like it's nice seeing that you like you're not afraid to like bring your kid around like adult like environments. Not that we're gonna sit there and be like, hey, what fuck, bub, shit, pussy, shit. You know? But it's like like it takes a village, right? You know, like so it's nice that you know bring Bub along, and then you trust us with like, you know, kicking it with us.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
no, he asks about you guys all the time and stuff like that. You know.
He's a good kid, man.
Dude, we
He's
need
a
to go. We
homie.
need to go fucking like mini golfing, bro.
We need to go mini golfing. Oh, okay. Really
Actually,
quick.
at Golf World, I got tickets to that.
To you,
Yeah,
Golf
so we
World?
could all go.
is it mini golf or is it like driving
It's
range?
I think Golf World is mini golf or
Mini
something.
golf?
It's like
I
one of
have
those
no clue.
franchises. or
My
some shit like that. Yeah.
dad just told me today I am fucking blanking on what the site is that is gonna get turned into this thing. But he said there are plans to build a fucking 3-story mini golf place called like Putts and Suds or something, and they serve alcohol there.
Oh, perfect.
yeah,
I'm there.
so
Take
you
all
just
my
get
money.
to go fucking mini golf and drink, bro.
drink.
Yeah,
That's
on
perfect.
3 different fucking levels. Like it's just
That's
like
hella dope.
yeah,
love
just a
that.
fucking mini golf emporium. Like I'm so down for that. I can't wait. We're
Is it
gonna
like
be there like
a-
opening day.
Is it like you walk up the three levels? Because like you know how when you go to Santa Cruz, like you go to mini golf, like you.
Yeah.
There are certain points where you're like, okay, I got to walk up the stairs.
I was
right here,
I was thinking about that, and I have 2 theories.
Uh-huh.
My first one was that, right? That like, okay, you have, it's not really like 3 levels or floors, right? It's more just like different levels in like one big course. But I also thought would be cool is that if they have enough space, is 3 different floors, 3 different fucking like themes. Courses.
Oh,
you,
wow. Yeah.
you have like a
yeah.
fucking.
You could have one that's like
I want a space one for sure.
I was thinking
Oh,
like
fuck
black
yeah.
light.
Blacklight,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
classic.
Space
Yeah.
type of
That's
black
classic
light.
mini
That's
golf
great.
shit right
That'd be
there,
dope.
dude. Yeah, no, I would be super fun. I would definitely. I want to pay attention to when.
You know what
that's
else is?
coming
Have you ever been
close.
to downtown Disney?
Oh, yeah.
That bowling place.
Haven't been.
Oh, I've never been to the
I haven't
bowling
been in
place.
So there's a
long
bowling
time.
place there, right? And they're like the way it's formatted. They have like a main, I think like a main one where it's a bunch of pins, but you can. Most of them are like there's 2 lanes together, and they're like in kind of their space kind of in different rooms and stuff like that. So they're a little more private. So you
Okay.
just rent out a lane
That's
with
cool.
your family, and you have like a table there and
You
stuff
just
like
chill
that.
and that's your
Yeah,
spot.
it's a little more private, but there's like hell in there, bro. Like,
That's cool.
Wow.
It's like levels and shit too.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it's like levels.
There's
Yeah.
levels to this shit.
It's
man.
levels to this.
And they have a
shit.
bar there and stuff like that, and they serve food and stuff like that. And
Cool.
Yeah, I want them to bring something like that around.
Yeah, dude.
That'd be fun.
Give me any
I
area.
mean, bowling's fun, but sometimes it's cool to have like your own little,
area.
little private
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, I've been thinking about mini golf recently, bro. Like,
I
Yeah.
haven't been in a long time.
I saw
and
that,
I like it a lot.
On the internet today that like Tiger Woods opened up some crazy
no, yeah, he has his
mini
own
golf course?
like
Yeah,
mini
he has his
golf
own
like
mini golf
franchise.
course.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
sick.
dude, it's crazy and how like nice it is, and like it's kind
It
of
looks
like
super nice.
and it's kind of tough too. Like it's not like your run of the mill like mini golf course.
Yeah.
that,
You
like,
gotta think- yeah,
you know
it's
they
like
freaking,
it's like literally like a miniature golf course.
Yeah,
like,
like-
with sand pits.
Well,
and
because
shit.
like I feel like a lot of like traditional mini golf, we'll call it, is like luck based. Like, like
little
you
bit of
can
geometry.
No,
A
you
little
can
bit of
be. I'm not
yeah.
saying you can't be good and knock it out of the park, but what I'm saying is for your average person who doesn't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
any
yeah,
experience
yeah.
golfing,
Yeah.
the ones that are fucking windmills and like loop-de-loops and shit like that, like you're probably not good enough as a casual player to like execute that on purpose. So it is interesting to see that there's a mini golf course out there that is purely based on skill. That's more about like, no, you have to be
Well,
good at like
I wouldn't
putting.
even say it is based on like skill. Like you can still just go out there and just have fun. Like it's still to go out there and have fun, but it is more like, oh, I'm gonna build an actual miniature golf course that
Yeah.
has like, yeah, it has the rough and it has the center up. You can still like putt through it, you know,
Yeah,
but it's still
okay.
probably gonna be a little bit tougher to do that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's dope, dude.
It's like more of like a mini golf simulation rather than like mini golf amusement. Yeah.
We could even do like a fucking golf simulator, bro. We don't even have to go out like.
Oh yeah,
actual
you just put the
golfing.
goggles on, right?
No. You go to a place where it has like a fucking screen that you hit
Oh
into.
yeah, yeah.
and like you
yeah.
literally hit the ball into the screen, and then
then it,
that's
like,
how it.
flies
Like,
Yeah, it like
right?
reads everything like on
Yeah.
that, and you just you can
Like
play,
rich ass people just have that shit in their like garage.
So you can just like drive in there.
yeah, and you can play like any fucking course. Like you can be
Cool.
like, oh, let me play Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
and
because you just
go out
load
there.
it up for free, basically,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I think if you get like I don't know if you get like a specific one, if it's like a PGA Tour one that like
Yeah.
lets you go on like
Have
an actual
access to all those courses? Yeah.
Because I assume they're very like protective of that stuff.
Yeah, I bet you though they sell the likeness of the course or
Yeah.
the rights
Well,
to
I
the
mean,
course or whatever.
They are very specific. So like for golf games, right? So there was PGA 2K23.
Yeah.
They didn't have like the rights to like big golf courses like Pebble Beach and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So like there was like a golf course creator,
Uh-huh.
like a generator like in there where you can go in and like actually like construct like a golf course.
And did people build like
And
real life
people,
ones?
yeah, people would build like Augusta, which is like, the Masters takes
Yeah,
place there,
yeah.
so. But now there's like PGA Tour 2023, which is like the actual
They have all the
PGA
good
line
shit.
of the game. So they have like the actual fucking,
Yeah, courses.
the
and
crazy
everything,
ones
yeah.
in there, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
cool.
kind of shit's so weird. That copyright stuff. It's like it's everywhere. It's like you'd think in a video game you could just build a fucking golf course,
Dude, but no,
they're
like it's even
fuck
strict.
no.
Even just golf in general, bro.
Yeah,
it's
it's
blown
strict
up
in
the
like
past
real life,
couple
like
years.
so like
Oh, yeah.
real life PGA Tour players
Mhm.
like have to get permission. Like if they want to create a YouTube channel,
Yeah,
they have to get permission to use their like to put
footage. Yeah,
because the PGA technically owns the rights to like all that
anything
shit.
on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
So like yeah, it's
It's a
pretty
dangerous
nuts.
world, man. It's very
pretty
scary.
fucking-
You
you're
gotta
like
be
if-
careful.
yeah, like if you're going to professional events and you're filming, like there's like limited stuff that they let you.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Like I remember there was like early in like the good golf era days. Like now they've like super blown up like on YouTube. Like
Mhm.
they're partnered with Callaway. They got their like club sponsor, everything like that. But like early, they did like a pro-am, and they went and they were playing with a pro, and they weren't able to film all of his swings. They could only film like select ones. But
Yeah.
because he was a pro, they couldn't film all of his swings.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, sorry guys, like we're playing with this guy. We'll try to throw some swings in there, but we really can't just because the PGA wouldn't like allow us, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
or whatever. Or sometimes they got to the courses where they can't really like film. But
Yeah.
now since YouTube Golf
Why?
has
Because
become,
like other players will use that again. Like they'll study.
it's
his...
well,
no,
I don't.
it's probably money, bro.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
the
just
thing
money,
Is
yeah.
that, like the thing that gets tough about this type of like copyright conversation and like really YouTube in particular is that at this point that platform has gotten to a point where channels can monetize their shit, which means people are making money off of other people's work.
Yeah.
Right? Like PGA puts in the work to get all their players and get all those courses and do that. People who come and film shit there don't have anything to do with that. But they can film footage there, and because it's at PGA, they're gonna go put that on their YouTube channel. Or not, I'm at PGA, PGA, I don't know what I'm saying. But
It's all good.
they're gonna go home, put that on their YouTube channel, and start making money off of the company basically, or the organization or whatever it is. So
Okay.
it's like they gotta get their piece.
Yeah.
It's the fucking money making shit.
Yeah,
dude.
because I mean, if I put up a fucking video where I'm like, oh my god, I played in a pro-am with Rory McIlroy, right? Who's like one of the craziest golfers, right?
Mhm.
People are gonna come and click on that fucking video, not for me,
100%.
but
No,
for
'cause
Rory
it's Rory
fucking
McIlroy,
McIlroy.
yeah.
And if I monetize that video and I follow the YouTube guidelines, I don't cuss, I don't do anything like that.
He's
I end up-
essentially making money off of Rory McIlroy.
exactly. The
Yeah.
PGA is gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where's my money?
That's the tough thing, right? Because that's what a
Yeah.
lot of content is based off of now. Like movies, video games, people who review shit, people who go out and do that type of stuff. Like their content is based off of consuming other people's work. That's all. That's really all it is at the end of the day.
Even like golf courses now, like there's certain golf courses that are like barely like you'll see YouTubers like we're filming that'll be like we're filming at this golf course for the first time. This is the first time this golf course is like ever gonna be like on camera. Blah blah blah. And even like Augusta, they invited like Rick Shields, who was like the godfather of like YouTube golf. Like he is the OG of YouTube golf. They invited him to play at Augusta, which is where they play the Masters. But he couldn't film himself playing there.
Yeah.
So he just like he played there and then he made a video of himself talking about playing.
About
there.
how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they invite him, hey, like come out and play. You can play what the pros are playing, blah blah blah, but you can't film on here.
See, but you know what's crazy though too is like PGA's smart about that shit because they know he's a big YouTuber. They know they can tell him not to film there, and they know that he's gonna go home afterwards and tell his millions and billions of fans, hey, this shit was really cool. Like anybody who can should spend money to go there or spend money for PGA or whatever. Like
Yeah, and
it's
there's
all a fucking money making machine, bro.
and
It's
there's
all
for sure
monetization.
probably people that follow him that make a fucking fuck ton of money that
Yeah.
are able to be like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna go to Augusta, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fucking play or whatever, and pay however much it fucking costs to fucking play there.
Monetization, bro.
Dude,
It's
and
a
there's
dangerous fucking
dude, and there's
game,
like
man.
there's
is
like
dangerous.
country clubs and like golf clubs out there that are like
imagine all the
hundreds of
content.
thousands of dollars for like a membership.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
a member
yeah.
there, where
Yeah.
it's like $250,000, $500,000,
Yeah.
shit like that.
I mean, even fucking smallest Ridgemark, I think it's like
It's like $150 a month or something like that.
I think for a
be a member.
lifetime, I think it's like 80 grand or something like that though.
Cheese, Louise, Papa Cheese. Yeah, see that shit's just it's a lot. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's always money though. At the end
It's
of the
always
day,
the money.
more
Where's the
often than not,
money?
it always comes back to the moolah, the
That's
cheddar.
bullshit though, because
He's a good guy.
that's like limited
What
content.
about
Some people
the
like won't
murders?
even step into that ring because they're like, well, fuck, it's monetized. I'm gonna be like charged for this shit. I don't have the money.
Yeah.
Or...
Well, you know what else is crazy
And
too?
then YouTube now has to pay like the fucking. YouTube has to pay the content creators
Yeah.
just to pay the fucking
Yeah. You want to know something else that's kind of wild too? Because I need to actually. This is a good reminder that I need to get back on it. But I had started to tell this guy about it. I don't think I've told you about it yet. But I have always loved video essays on YouTube, which is essentially exactly what it sounds like, right? Like it's just an essay. Like you write out an idea that you want to talk about something. You do an audio recording of yourself talking about it, like a script or whatever, and then you just place video clips over the top. And so the first one that I wanted to talk about was the new Legend of Zelda game. I like started writing out a script and everything, and I was like writing in cues for songs from the fucking game, right? And so it didn't dawn on me until like later, where I was like, oh fuck, if I'm actually gonna put this up, like maybe I should take a look first at like if I'll get dinged for this, like if I'll get flagged, whatever it is, right? So to make a long story short, YouTube used to give all account holders, whether it was free, premium, whatever, blah, 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 access to a gigantic database of everything that was copyrighted under YouTube's like copyright laws, right? Like anything that YouTube had permission from the artist to charge you for that you're going to use is a huge fucking list, gigantic. You could surf through it for days
or whatever.
No, you could use it to know if you were going to get dinged. Because the thing about it is that like, it's weird. It's a whole process. I did research on it for like a whole night one night. But regardless of whether or not YouTube allows you to make money off of it, you will get hit with a copyright warning because you're using somebody else's work in something that you're trying to monetize. So even if YouTube approves it, even if you somehow manage to get through to the offices of whatever fucking big movie producer that you're trying to use their clips from or whatever, you will still technically be warned of copyright use. But the kicker now is that they fucking removed that shit. They took it off. It's nowhere to be found anymore. And the main reason why was they were like, well, people just weren't really using it. Like we thought it was boring them. And it was like, well, yeah, because it's like a dictionary basically of like boring laws and shit like that. But you should probably leave that up there for your users to like have access to still. And it's just gone now.
Yeah.
And like a lot of what I was reading was that like they had a lot on there for sure, but they didn't necessarily have everything. And so the fact that you now cannot go on there and really double check like some super deep cut, something that they might not have had the copyright law to, now that it's not out there in the public for you to look at, they can be like, no, we have that. We have to charge you for it.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, no, it's sketch. It's fucking shady, bro.
Yeah, and like when you
It's shady.
when you upload the video on YouTube, like it goes through the process of like checking for any like copyright stuff.
Yeah, it'll
so like
tell you.
there was a
They have like an algorithm or something.
Yep.
Like a,
yeah,
100%.
there was like a video that I was putting up where we listened to Party All the Time,
Oh yeah,
and like you couldn't even really hear it, and it like barely came through for like a second, and it flagged
still
me with
found
like
it,
a warning. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, like
there's copyrighted material in this
yeah,
video.
you can still put the video up, like it's not gonna be a strike or anything like that, but
But you know what's even crazier too is like
like warning, like if they wanted to come after you.
yeah,
because
they
what
legally
happened?
can. Yeah.
What happens when you
It's
get
like, what if
that?
you're like taking a video and you're like walking down the street and there's just fucking background music or something like that?
Well, I think that's the
Is it
one
within
thing.
a certain.
there's like a
parameters?
certain
They're
like,
not
amount.
they're not clear on it, but I think that is the case because to be fair, we'd listen to like the whole song, like
Yeah,
So-
but you couldn't hear most of it.
No,
But there
yeah.
was like one part where I think it got like kind of loud, and you could like
Yeah,
kind of
hear
hear
it,
it.
yeah.
So it was like, oh fuck, we recognize
Yeah.
that shit.
yeah, and it's
Hey,
like
motherfucker,
it just adds.
we see you.
It literally adds ads onto your shit. That's
Yeah.
really what it is that like they're like, okay, the way I assume it happens is it's like, oh, okay, you're copywriting Eddie Murphy shit. Let's find a company that Eddie Murphy has stock in. We're gonna slap his fucking ad in the video or something that he's one of his fucking money making bits connected to or whatever. And like that's.
I don't know
going
if
up in
that's
there.
how ads. I think ads go in. I think that's how you make money on YouTube, isn't it? Right? When you
Ad
apply,
space?
yeah, you apply like for ads, and they're like, okay, cool, yeah. And
Yeah,
then-
but that's also how they make money. Because when you use, because you can use copyrighted stuff as long as you're not monetizing your videos, and it's completely fine. You can, I can upload a fucking 3-minute track of that Eddie Murphy song, and it's cool. The video's more than likely not gonna get taken down, but it will get slapped with ads fucking hard, and it will have a 0 tolerance policy for me trying to monetize that video. So if I try to make money off of somebody else's shit, they're gonna be like, nope, sorry, that's not gonna happen. We got to take this down.
yeah.
Can you add ads to?
You can add your own ad. That's so what a lot of
Can you
people
add ads just to make money off of it,
what a lot of people will do nowadays, at least as far as
or to help
I've
pay
noticed-
for the service or whatever?
yeah, is that YouTube channels, people they're more often than not like relatively independent, so they will make deals with
Manscaped.
Manscaped, NordVPN, fucking Squarespace is another big one. Like these internet things that are useful for YouTubers or useful for just that whole social media circle in general, which I find to be like slightly better because at least it's creating like somewhat more of like a closed circle around like independent stuff, right? Because like Manscaped is a big company, NordVPN is a big company, but I don't think they're privately owned at this point. Like I think they're just really big now, right? Like those are companies that have like same thing with Dr. Squatch.
Yep.
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
I see
Squatch.
those a
Yep.
lot, right?
Yep.
Like they're big, they're huge now. They've been growing, but I
They're
don't
huge.
think they're like a private fucking corporation or anything like
Jaritos.
that. Yep.
Jaritos does it. Jaritos, hit us up. I want to be
Please.
fucking yes.
Yeah, we want a
to
Jarito
I want to be
sponsorship.
sipping Jaritos.
Say
on
it
this
into the
podcast
mic, bro.
all the time.
Give us one, Jake. You got to give us a Jaritos.
Jaritos.
Thank you.
Yes, there we go.
That's 3 of them. Come
Yep.
on, damn it. But yeah, it's a whole world, man. It's a whole game. Advertisement and monetization on the internet is fucking scary, honestly. Like I didn't realize how intense it was till I started doing some research on it.
I know. I got to do some research on it. So this is all eye-opening right now.
It's crazy.
I didn't know it was that.
It's a wild
I
game.
mean, I knew about copyright and stuff like that, but
Yeah, it's you walk a thin line on YouTube sometimes.
This whole video is probably gonna get taken off of YouTube because of how much shit we just talked about.
That's why
right
hey, what the fuck?
honestly, that's why
Take it away, damn it.
that's what the content creators that are big because they could just pay all that shit no matter what. They could do whatever content they want.
Well,
and they
they
don't
like
worry
big
about it.
content creators also like have crazy big sponsors too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
That too.
yeah, you'll see like how like Mr. Beast does it, right? Like
I was gonna
he
say
goes,
Mr. Beast. My son watches his
he
videos.
like goes to companies and they like give him the fucking
Shit
like
to
money.
do, yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah,
They're like,
That's
oh,
it.
you want $1 million to do this
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
challenge?
yeah, straight up.
Because you're gonna get like 20 million views and shit like that, and then in a day, yeah.
It's just
I get it.
it's all cyclical, man. Because same thing with movies and even video games too, right? Like YouTubers at this point now are invited to early screenings because they know those reviewer channels are going to go out there and. I mean, I don't think they're like paying them to give like a perfect opinion because I've seen plenty of early access reviews where they're like, this movie was dog shit or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even that is hype, right? Even that's advertisement. That's like ad space to be like,
Yeah,
come watch this movie, like whatever, blah blah blah.
like Call of Duty for like the new Call of Duty, like the new like Warzone and stuff. They like brought like a bunch of like big YouTubers
Yeah.
to like LA or whatever, and they let them like play it
Like
like
a month
early access,
before,
and
like,
they let them like
yeah.
stream it or whatever.
so they could go home,
Yeah,
take
like
footage.
Tim the Tap Man.
Yeah,
Yep.
so they like
Okay.
they like
Exactly.
set up PCs and everything for all of them. They set it up on their Twitch and they got it to fucking. They literally had people there like Nick Merckx would be like, "Hey, fucking this shit's not fucking working," and then be like, "Okay," and then fucking fix it for
really
them. Yeah,
fast. Yeah.
Fix all the bugs out.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's wild.
All those fuckers got like skins now on those games and
yeah. Nick
they have their
Merckx
own,
got us
like-
taken down.
Why do you
Oh,
get-
he got in trouble for something, right?
Nah, I
Or
don't wanna
he
talk
had
about
some
it.
controversy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
we
was
won't
some
talk about
controversy,
it.
yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah.
There was a guy who had a skin, a YouTuber. Some finicky, shady shit happened with him in a situation that I'm not even sure about. And Call of Duty just took the safe route, and they're like, "Yep, we're gonna pull that out of the game."
Yeah.
They're like, "Don't fucking come for us. We make way too much money off these microtransactions. We're just gonna take that out of there."
Yeah.
So
What a trip.
also part of the world we live in.
Dude, okay, you know what other, like, while we're on companies that are, like, crazy marketers, ads, you know who's a fucking,
Bitch.
a crazy goat marketer right now? Fucking Netflix, bro. You want to know
Oh,
why?
Netflix.
You want to know why? All right, so you know how last week we had the 5 people go in the fucking, I don't know, like, paper mache submarine, try to go
Oh,
look at
yeah,
the fucking
yeah.
Titanic or whatever?
Yeah.
So, we all know the story that happened. 5 of them, they were going to go down. They all paid $250,000 each to go freaking. They were going to go in this little fucking janky made submarine that had a controller to freaking control
control
that
it,
shit.
Yeah.
And
They've been
they're
doing
pla-
that for a while though, so this was just a random fuck up.
You know what I heard? So sorry, I don't want to cut off your story, but
No,
I
go ahead.
got a chance to talk to my cousin Nate this weekend at my grandpa's birthday party, and he is, I believe, graduated at this point. He's like an aerospace engineer, so different context, but he still has an understanding of how that shit works. And he was explaining to me, I didn't understand it all, but he's
How it
explaining to me,
imploded.
dude, he was literally telling me that like there are certain things that for years and years and years have been God guideline rules of like, this is how you build a submarine so it doesn't fucking blow up underwater. And they were like, yeah, but we're going to innovate. We're going to try something different.
Yeah.
They just ignored that shit.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we'll figure it out. It's okay.
I
It'll
guess
be
like
fine."
a bunch of the like headwigs of that company too were explaining to them like, yeah, don't do this. This
They
is
just took the chance anyway.
Yeah, so we know the story. They freaking got in the submarine. They were trying to go down. They had to go down like I don't know. They had to go down to the bottom of the fucking ocean basically
pretty deep.
to find this shit. Very very fucking deep. Where a lot of places don't fucking go. There's a big reason why we don't fucking go down in fucking Titanic all the time. It's hard
The
to
submarine
fucking,
didn't have
it's
a
hard,
hatch.
It's hard to fucking get down there.
Seal
Seal
it
'em
just
in,
to go
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So about an hour 45 minutes into the fucking their journey, 20,000 leagues under the sea, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They lose connection to whoever they were communicating with, right? Everyone's like, oh my god, they're lost, like, and people were saying like they only have 96 hours of air left. They only have 48 hours of air left. There's only 24 hours of air left, right? And then that time ran out, and the company came out and said, oh, they're presumed dead. We don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Then they found the wreckage. The Coast Guard or whatever, or Navy came out and said like, oh yeah, like 2 hours in, like we heard this implosion, like, and it was pretty like consistent with a boat like imploding under the sea, but we just didn't say anything about it. We let you guys just think about it for the next few days or whatever. Yeah. And so yeah, you know what happened? Like,
we'll put out a search.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Rest in peace. There was a kid on there. He was 19 years old. Didn't want to go on there, but he did it because Father's Day. His dad. He wanted to make his dad happy. Whatever. I feel bad for him. Rest in peace, everybody. But play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
100%. Yeah.
But
I read that it happened so fast though they didn't even know.
Yeah, because there was 375 pounds of like
underwater pressure.
Atmospheric
They
pressure.
say apparently it happens within like milliseconds.
There's a video out there of like like an iron fucking train that
Just
I saw that.
under
that got exposed to 1 pound.
Oh yeah.
And it fucking crumbles.
Crumbles.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
That's
yeah,
wild
they
shit.
definitely it was pretty quick. But anyways, a couple days ago, Netflix announced. You want to know what movie they announced? They're fucking putting on
Of course.
on fucking Netflix on July 1st.
Don't tell me they're doing the documentary of it.
No. They're putting the Titanic on Netflix.
Motherfuckers.
July 1st.
Motherfuckers.
They
dude.
do not miss a marketing opportunity.
That's crazy.
They were
That's
like,
crazy.
hey, we see all the memes. We see it on the internet. You know
Yeah.
what we're going to fucking give to you July 1st? Leo, bitch.
That's crazy.
Titanic,
You don't
motherfucker.
miss.
That's fucking crazy, bro.
That's
Who
insane.
directed that? That's James Cameron.
James Cameron, yeah.
Yeah.
James Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy to see how far he's fallen.
So fucking crazy.
Because Avatar is balls. Sorry. I tried watching it like a couple weeks ago, and I
The second one.
couldn't do it.
I will say with James Cameron, though, he's a fucking
alright.
badass. Because the first one, there was like a behind the scenes that they were talking about fucking like the making of Avatar, right? And you know how the fucking Na'vi, they shoot the arrow like that? So he had been working on that for a while, and then they brought in an Olympic archer. I don't even know. Archer. Yeah, I was gonna say archist. But an Olympic archer, right? And he was like, "Yeah, what do you think about fucking pulling it back like that and doing it?" And the archer's like, "No, like you can't. Like you can't do that. Like you're not gonna be able to shoot it like that." And James Cameron's like, "Really? Like here, let me see." And James Cameron pulls it back, shoots it, bullseye.
Nice. Savage.
And then the dude's like, okay.
All right, cool. I guess you can then.
Well, fuck me.
Yeah. Fucking takes off his medal. He's like, spits on it, like, and throws it on the ground.
Yeah, but James Cameron was like, yeah, I kind of got lucky on that shit.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah.
It just happened to work.
Yeah.
That was a badass, though.
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
Yeah. I am like, whatever. I'm down to see the next couple movies, I guess.
No. Hey, there's parts of that movie, like that fucking suck. Like the story is.
It's the same story.
It's the same as the first
yeah.
one.
Pretty shitty.
I
yeah.
just, when I thought about it,
But again, just the Avatar world is what you're
it's
like.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's dope.
What
Yeah,
you're like,
no,
and just
it's
learning all
It's what you're there. It's what you're there for.
It's what you're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking about too is it's like, okay, it's like I still think it's a justification for like a bad story, but this is the best justification I can come up with it for, which is like the first movie came out more than 10 years ago, almost like 15 years ago at this point, and he has plans to make like fucking 5 more of these. So it kind of makes sense to me that the first one to get them all started would be more or less like a rehash of what the first movie was. To just be like, okay, we're getting the ball rolling again. Like, we got to get started so you can get onto these sequels and you're not lost.
I read that this third one's not coming out for years though.
Yeah, it got
Well,
pushed back for sure.
Yeah,
Pushed
everything's
back.
pushed back at this
I think
point.
I heard like 2029.
Yeah, right. Well, because
There's like, I think it's like
Something crazy.
2025,
yeah,
then like 2029.
Oh, and then the next one is 2029. Yeah.
And then like 2031 and some shit like that. I'm like, well, that's fucking crazy to think about right now.
that kind of stuff is just like that. I think that's also.
Don't tell me 2031 when we're in 2023.
Like that's the thing is
Don't.
that's
Don't
part
tell
of,
me that.
That's part of what annoys me about the whole process too. Is it's
10
like
years.
it's just like the hubris behind it, you know, of
30-year freaking.
who do you think is gonna give a fuck about Avatar in like 25 years after the first movie came out? Like, you got a lot of balls to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make you watch these movies till I fucking die. Like, it's kind of like, all right, chill, James
I might
Cameron.
die making.
I
these
beg, you know
movies.
what? I would rather see you make another fucking Terminator than another Avatar movie. Like, give me
Terminate the.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! They beat that franchise with a goddamn.
yeah, that one's
fucking-
bad too now.
They're all bad. Anytime a franchise gets past like 5 movies,
Like the acting age.
It's like,
of
all
the
right.
I say
original-
6. You can pull off 6 only because I'm referring to the original Star Wars run. George Lucas Star Wars.
okay, but that was like you had fucking the first 3 movies
Yeah.
in like a how many year span? Like,
9 years more or less. Each one came out like 3 years apart from each other.
and then
Or actually,
it wasn't
sorry,
until
2
like
years apart
it
from
wasn't
each other.
until 1999 that the next one came out.
Yeah, but
So
that's
it's-
what's happening now, though, right? Because we had trilogies of old stuff that came out in the 80s, and they're bringing them back from the dead now, and they can't fucking do it, right? So he still had something there, for sure. There's still different magic that he was able to pull. But the other thing, too, is that the original creator was involved in bringing it back
Yeah.
20, 30 years later, right?
Yeah.
Versus nowadays, the people have probably long since sold the rights to those like franchises, so they just let somebody else do it, and they don't handle it with
Yeah.
the same care.
And it almost feels like 2 different, like as much as it is a continuation, right? It feels
A pre-continuation.
yeah, it feels like 2 different like
Trilogies.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, Star Wars is the GOAT. That's why I wanted to bring
I'm
it
trying
up.
to think of another trilogy that has pulled that off. I mean, not
I-
even like Lord of the Rings. Like the Hobbits were
No, the Hobbits are-
mediocre at best.
Yeah. The Hobbits I don't think are
And they-
terrible, but they are nowhere near as good as the
I think what they
original.
did wrong with that was CGI.
Is
I
a
think
lot.
if they didn't use as much CGI with all the characters and the orcs and stuff like that, that would have been even though they dragged that out into 3 movies, it still would have been a better story.
Well, because the first one just feels so like fucking real, bro. Like, I know there's like a little skinny fish eating ring crack addict on the screen, and I know
yeah.
there's little people who can walk across the entire continent and be totally
Little
fine
people,
for the most part.
big world.
And there's, giant floating eyes in the sky, but those movies feel fucking real, dude. That shit feels
The
grounded.
orcs scare the shit.
From what
I
I've-
remember when I
yeah.
was little, the orcs scared the shit out
Yeah.
of me.
From
bro.
what I've heard though, in the books, isn't like the Eye of Sauron like
It's
not an actual eye?
No,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, but to
Peter
be
Jackson was like, "Fuck yes,
We're
I need
making it an
I need a
eye."
giant eyeball."
well, because it's like there's just certain things that work. It's like any book adaptation, right? It's like everybody has their own idea of what a thing is supposed to look like, or even how it's described to you, so that you can create it in your like imagination. But when you're a filmmaker trying to adapt that shit, you have to just make something iconic. And if somebody says the Eye of Sauron, what else are you gonna do but a fucking
Eyeballs.
burning eye in the
Yeah.
sky? Like, you know what I mean? It just makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
He
I agree.
fucking got it, dude.
I agree. I like the Eye of Sauron. I'm
It's
down
beautiful.
for it.
I am
I think
too.
it's a beautiful eye. I would love to gaze into that eye every day.
No, that's bad for you, dude. That puts darkness in your
It's a
heart.
beautifully intimidating eye.
Yeah, it really is. It's like a fucking cracked out eye, bro. It's always like fucking like looking all over the fucking place. It doesn't ever stay in one spot.
Focus on me.
Yeah.
Focus on
He probably wouldn't even look at you for more than half a second because you're not Frodo.
Imagine the eye in modern times, bro. You just fucking roll some tanks up to that bottom of that fucking tower and just.
yeah. You know what I
Now,
always...
Mr. Eye of Sauron, we got you surrounded. You come out with your hands up and you'll face the wrath of the United States Army.
The orcs start charging. They're just like fucking just gun them down
Just
and
with, like, a
like
50
roast.
cal.
Yeah. The orcs don't stand a chance. They just get wrecked.
Lieutenant Johnson, give these orcs a taste of American freedom.
Yeah. It's still Aragorn, but he's just like, it's still Viggo Mortensen, just like dressed in a U.S. Army like thing. And he just sits there and he's like, gentlemen, for Frodo.
For the small little man, for the small little man fighting for our big country, Frodo.
Frodo. Mr. Baggins.
Mr. Baggins, we salute you, sir.
Yeah. That'd be good shit.
I love it.
Let's do it.
All right, shall we get started on our
Shall we
talking about some
West
fucking
this Anderson?
let's West this Anderson, bro.
Let's do
Dang,
it.
I like that.
I
So
feel
what
like we
should
should
we
start with Rushmore.
start with Rushmore?
Yeah.
I like it because
I haven't seen Rushmore in a minute.
Rushmore's good. I watched it
But
again
I have
today.
seen it a few times.
I watched it on the way home from work. I had a long drive home, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna throw this on right now."
and it's an hour and a half. It's not,
yeah,
not
it's
that long.
chilling. No, Rushmore is very good. Like I was saying earlier, I did not really remember the title character, Max Fisher, as well as I thought. Towards the end of the movie, he got closer to what I'd remembered. But for the first half of this movie, that child is a fucking psychopath. Like
Right?
an absolute
He's like a dick, too,
he's a
right?
creep psycho, bro. Like 100% off the fucking wall insane. It's kind of crazy. I was very like tripped out. I was like,
He's like in love with is it one of the teachers?
Miss Cross.
yeah,
Yeah.
Miss
Yeah, one of
Cross.
the teachers. He's like in love with her or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So let me read you all this description right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
When a beautiful first grade teacher, Olivia Williams, arrives at a prep school, she soon attracts the attention of an ambitious teenager named Max Fisher, played by Jason Schwartzman, who quickly falls in love with her. Max turns to the father of two of his schoolmates, played by Bill Murray, for advice on how to woo the teacher. However, the situation soon gets complicated when Max's new friend becomes involved with her, setting the two pals against one another in a war for her attention.
yeah,
It's basically what it's about, It's
pretty
about,
much.
It's about a kid. It's about a kid, man, who writes plays.
Yeah,
And feels
fucking-
alone in the world because no one else fucking gets him.
Just
you know?
writes fucking movies, like famous movies into place and shit like that, basically. I think the first one was like Serpico, and then the second one I think is like not Black Hawk Down, fucking.
Oh, it's like the Vietnam
yeah, the
one.
Vietnam one.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it is. But yeah, they're fucking hilarious. Those parts cracked me up, bro. I love how it starts. It's like it reminds me of like I actually want to check out the filmography and see how early this was in his career, but
This is I think this is his second movie.
Okay,
Because
it's
it
one
was
of his first movies.
It was
Yeah.
Bottle Rocket and then this.
and this one, okay, because
I
it's
think
like
Bottle. I've never seen Bottle Rocket, but when I looked at Wes Anderson movies, I was
this is
like,
this is 1998. Is
Yeah.
that what it says? Yeah.
And then
it was
Bottle,
before
Bottle
he,
Rocket was 96.
and all that. Those two movies were. I think he had like maybe one or two more after that before he started that Wes Anderson film like vibe that he.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
puts
thing. There's
through now.
flashes of
You
it
see
in
hints
this
of it here,
movie.
yeah.
Like there's definitely the color schemes that you see in this movie. You have the greens, you have the reds. You have his browns.
very
you-
detailed with
exactly. So
costume and stuff
yeah,
like that.
You
Yeah.
see it here and there. You see the symmetrical shots.
He
here
was
and there.
figuring himself out still. He was still
Yeah.
figuring out how to get to what we'll talk about later, which is Asteroid City, right?
That's why I liked that we did these
Me
two
too.
movies because they show two different points in his career.
very different points. Like one of the earliest and then the latest, literally, which is super eye-opening. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I
And he
really
started
loved this
to fall
movie.
through his career too. He started to fall in love with like claymation. I mean, he did.
Oh yeah, Fantastic
Island of
Mr.
Dogs
Fox.
and,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
And even in some of his movies, there's like wall breaks where it goes in, and he's like telling another part of the story, but he didn't want to film
switches
it,
over.
so he just switches it over
Yeah.
to.
Asteroid City.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked this movie. I liked seeing a young Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Especially now, like he's been popping right now. He's in Asteroid City. He was in Across the Spider-Verse. So he's on some shit right now.
Got a couple
So,
good movies out right now.
Yeah, it was nice seeing a young Jason Schwartzman. It was cool seeing like one of Wes Anderson's earliest films and seeing the flashes of what we know now. You know, like we were saying. It was interesting to find out. Like I didn't know Owen Wilson was a part of like writing this movie as well.
Oh,
so,
cool.
So
Oh,
him,
no shit.
So yeah, him and Owen Wilson co-wrote this movie,
Dope.
and they actually
really?
co-wrote like a lot of stuff.
I
Like,
could
didn't-
see it. Yeah, I could see it.
He's in
I
a
was-
lot of his movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I was going through like a lot of interviews. Like this was a very heavy Wes Anderson weekend for me, where
Yeah.
I was like watching a lot of interviews and like, yeah, him and Owen Wilson like early on were co-writing like a lot of stuff.
Well, Luke Wilson is in the movie too.
Yeah.
He plays the like very short-term date of Miss.
The male nurse.
What's her name? Yeah, the male nurse.
Miss
yeah.
Cross.
Miss Cross. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. And then also like
Was Luke Wilson in
No.
Asteroid?
No.
No.
Mm-mm. Neither was Owen Wilson.
now there was Bill Murray.
Yeah, true. Very true.
But
Oh, you're right.
But fucking everybody else was.
yeah,
Yeah, he had a fucking. Basically, Tom Hanks took his fucking.
Pretty
like
much.
a Bill
That
Murray
that
spot.
would have
Yeah,
been
that
Bill
would've been
Murray's
Bill
role.
Murray.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, also they like spent a year looking for someone to play Max Fisher, and then I forget if like Jason Schwartzman came like and did an interview or like did like a read or something like that. But like basically once they saw Jason Schwartzman, they were like, oh yeah,
He's the guy.
This is the fucking guy right here.
I can imagine because that is for sure a tough role to pull off. I'm trying to look here to see when this man was born. 1980. So he was actually, I mean, Max Fisher's supposed to be 18 years old, but he was actually, I'm sorry, Max Fisher's supposed to be 15.
Mm-hmm.
But Jason Schwartzman was actually only 18 when he was doing this, which is...
What do you want, mango?
What else is in there?
So you can take that one if you want it. Take it.
Pineapple and the blackberry.
My guy.
I'll take the blackberry.
But yeah.
I'm a blackberry guy. I'm
nice
definitely
cold.
a blackberry more than a mango guy for sure.
Okay.
Fuck, you know what we didn't do? We didn't fucking cheers.
Well,
God
wait, hold on,
damn
hold on,
it.
hold on.
I literally made a big point of it, like
that ASMR.
like a couple episodes ago, how like I always cheers before I fucking start drinking because I
Let me get one of those.
like
You want mango?
Dude, that was so fun. Let me get one of those.
Sorry, it's because I had...
Dude, those make you fucking burp, bro.
I did. I had the gas and like I didn't want to burp right in the mic, so I had to go into the deep register.
Let me get one of those.
Let me get one of those.
Get one of those, brother.
I have endless fun with it because it's like so much easier to like on the microphones get into the deep register and pretend I have a very heavy manly voice. When obviously regularly I sound like this. Cheers, gentlemen.
But yeah, I made it a big point a couple episodes ago how I feel like it's bad luck to not cheers before
Off
you
a drink,
with your homies, and
we did it though. We got it. We got it on the second
got it.
round.
You know?
Restart
like
the
an hour and a half
episode.
into the show.
Restart the episode. We're doing it all over again.
fuck, scrap this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Rushmore. Yeah, this was fucking great. Yeah, I loved seeing early Wes Anderson. I love Jason Schwartzman. I thought this was an interesting movie. Granted, it took me like a couple days to watch it just because like when I first started watching, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like really, just because like we said, like he is kind of like a piece of shit kid.
He is.
Like
Remember,
his
that's what I
principals,
thought when I first
like
watched
his
it. I was
principal's trying to tell him like, hey man, your grades are fucking falling. Like you need to pick your shit up. And he's like, it's okay. Like I'll just take a postgraduate year. You know, we're chilling. He's like,
we don't offer a postgraduate year.
not yet. You know, and
There's this moment too where his friend Derek, I think Derek Calloway is his name, or is it Derek or is it Dirk? One of the two. Anyway, tells him like he's like, hey, didn't you have this
it's
test?
Dirk.
He's like, didn't you have like this test or something today? And he's like, oh yeah, I did. And he's like, what are you gonna do about it? He's like, well, there's only one thing to do. You need to expect from a student, maybe like study hard, figure it out next time. He's like, I'm gonna have to pull some strings with the Board of Education. It's like, God damn it, kid.
Well, no, he's like, he asked him, he's like, hey, he asked a little kid, like, hey, how'd your test go? And he's like, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And he's
It's
like,
like, didn't
oh,
you
wow.
have a test on this or that? Yeah.
Let's see, it is Dirk.
Yeah, Dirk Calloway.
Dirk Calloway.
It's a great name. Great character names in general on this one.
But yeah, early I wasn't like completely sold on the movie because, like,
Did you
again,
rent it? What'd you watch it off of?
I always just buy
Is
shit
it-
on YouTube or rent it on YouTube now.
yeah, I'll either do YouTube or like fucking
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. You can just rent movies for like 2 or 3 days.
Well,
now.
sometimes it's streaming on. I was
Yeah,
trying to
that's
look
true.
it up right now. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
what's your
Sometimes I have YouTube TV also, so sometimes you can get lucky on YouTube
They're just
TV.
there.
maybe on there?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wasn't sold early on the character of Max Fisher. I was like, I don't know how I like feel. That part was fucking funny.
Yeah.
When he's doing the backflips.
Uh-huh.
But I think as you go and you just start to peel back the layers that is Max Fisher, and you
Yeah.
realize he is kind of just like putting on a front almost for everybody.
He's a kid. He's
Like,
a little boy.
He's a kid that doesn't really fit in with everybody else
No.
because of how just creatively like he
Like,
thinks,
articulate he is,
how
yeah.
artistic he is, and like, you know, I imagine that it is like Wes Anderson writing about like himself a little bit, and Owen Wilson
Sure.
writing about themselves
Sure.
a little bit, because that's probably how they felt back then. You know,
Yeah.
it is like a weird thing, not like a weird thing I would say, but when like you're a dude and you're like, I'm gonna become an actor, right?
Uh-huh.
People are like, what the fuck? You
Yeah,
know?
sure,
When you're like,
sure.
I'm gonna write movies, people are
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude?
yeah.
So it's like you definitely feel, especially as a kid, if that's like what you want to do, like, and you know that at an early age, you probably definitely feel a little alienated. Plus, his mom passed away, so he's
Yeah.
definitely still like
Struggling.
dealing with some shit, and as a kid, just doesn't know how to deal with that
Yeah.
shit. You know?
It's also that he also, I think for sure, is very heavily flawed in the first half of the movie, because you are right. He is beyond a lot of the other kids his age, but he also tries to push way too far into adulthood as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And he crosses a lot of fucking lines. Like,
yeah.
It's
hitting on his fucking teacher. Yeah.
hitting on his teacher, fucking trying to drink at dinner and shit like that when he's 15, like constantly talking to other adults as if he is also not like just a fucking child, right? Like it seems probably cool to him and everything. He's like, yeah, I just talk like this all the time to people. And like one that like really got me where I was annoyed is he's like on the phone with, I think, Dirk or Herman, as I think Bill Murray's name in this movie or something, when he goes to the public school. And the like hall monitor comes down and he's like, hey, do you have a phone pass? And he's like, excuse me. And he just like keeps putting his fucking finger in his face and he fucking hangs up the phone on him finally. He has the audacity to look at him and go, well, that was rude. And I'm like, you fucking shitty little kid. I cannot believe you right now. Jesus Christ. He's a little bastard, dude.
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to like just be a kid.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a lot of what this movie is like a coming of age story, and a kid just realizing just being a kid, man.
Gotta take your time to be a kid.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can't jump ahead too fast. And it like I like that it's also a weird coming of age story for Herman as well, just because he is like they say like you're just like Max. You both act like kids, blah blah blah. So he's like in a space in his life where he has two kids that he was just like, what the fuck? I don't even like these fucking kids. And then he has a wife that fucking cheats on him or whatever, and he is just like. He's just out of it. Like, you see that scene where there's, like, the party going on at the pool, and he's just, like, chilling by himself. And then he, like, dives in the pool, and he's just chilling there. And it's like, damn, like, you kind of feel bad for him, but you're also like, damn, dude.
He is also kind of crazy, too. Yeah,
like, you're an adult, and you're just kicking it with this little kid.
That was also one thing that hella tripped me out. Like, just to, like, hone in on his character a little bit. Like, I don't think I noticed this the first time around, but I was kind of like, double fucking standard, lady. Because, like, his wife, right, at the party, very clearly, like, fucking flirting and probably fucking around behind his back. And then the second she gets wind of him like going around fucking with somebody else, she's like, we're filing for divorce. And it's like, holy fuck, man, Jesus Christ. But he is, it's like there's no weird vibes there for sure, but it is still weird, like the fact that he is like probably like 40 years old at least. At where Bill Murray was around that time,
and he's like Max Fisher's sidekick.
Yeah, he's just exactly. He's not even like the main character.
Yeah,
like,
Max just calls him. Yeah, I need you to do this. All right, cool.
Yeah,
and just fucking
fronts $8 million to build a fucking aquarium for the teacher and shit like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
That
shit.
was fucking nuts.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I was like, isn't there he like pushes to build an aquarium or something like that?
Well, because like going back to the beginning of the movie, right? Is it's like we hear about this Max kid and he's very heavily involved in Rushmore, the name of the school, right? Has opened countless clubs.
I think that's also the thing, like he loves Rushmore.
Yeah,
like,
he
loves
being a student there. Yeah, one of my favorite clubs that he made is they show it's like a scene of them playing dodgeball, but the name of the club is the Bombardment Society. I was like, God damn it, that's such a good fucking little gag right there. But yeah, we come upon him and he's in love with Rushmore. He's obviously very popular with, like, I would say the majority of the kids around there. There's a couple, like, bullies here and there that, like, don't like him. But he finally meets the teacher, and you have this funny fucking turnaround where he's talking to Dirk, and he's like, did you hear they're canceling Latin this year? And Max is like, I've tried to get them to cancel that for the last 5 years. I keep telling him it's a dead language.
Oh no, he's not talking to Dirk. He's talking to like that Asian dude, and he's playing chess against him.
Oh yeah,
in the library or whatever.
Yeah, because it's they're bringing
Yeah,
Japanese in instead, and so he's like fucking pissed. He's like, I've been trying to get that shit canceled for years. His one conversation with Miss Cross, and she's like, oh man, Latin is like such a romantic language. Like I wish it wasn't. Like that's so sad to hear that it's getting canceled. And he's like, And then the next like sequence is like a montage of him getting petition signatures from like everybody in the school to be like, we need to save Latin. Like we can't let it go anywhere or whatever. And then it's just like a series of like things like that where he just does weird shit to try to impress her. It's just I mean it does make sense. They do a good job, and this is both like a compliment to the writing, the directing, and the acting, right? It's like you as the audience member almost get fooled to the point of seeing Max Fisher as an adult. So when you see him doing very childlike things, like, I saved Latin for you, you should love me now. You're like, what the fuck, dude? But then you like, again, like you said, you peel back the layers and you realize like, oh yeah, he's a 15-year-old boy. He is a child. Of course he would think that's going to impress a girl into like, thinking that they're whatever, he's a young kid who's like, oh, I saved the romantic language that she loves. She's for sure gonna go for me now. It's like, yeah.
I think my a part that was hella funny for me was like when him and Miss Cross are first talking like in in her classroom. No, in her classroom. Yeah. Also, I have a part about the bleachers too, but in her classroom, and she's like feeding the fish, and then fucking he tries to feed the fish, and all of a sudden like the whole thing just falls in the fucking fish tank, and he like barely attempts to get it up, and he's like, nah.
And he's like, whatever. Yeah.
And then the part about the bleachers is she's hella just trying to light a cigarette, and then like this kid just comes up with a lighter. Like, are you not tripping? I'm like, why do you have a fucking lighter on you right now? No. Don't light my fucking cigarette, you little fucking kid.
The one thing, I don't know what the fucking 90s were like. I imagine things were a little bit more fast and loose. Like, this is still around the time where fucking Bill Murray's smoking cigarettes in the hospital and shit like that. So if a kid came up to you with a light, you probably wouldn't say no.
I mean, if I'm a teacher and a kid
at
the school that I'm teaching at, on school grounds, like just comes up with the fucking lighter and be like, whoa, what
the fuck
are you doing?
Yeah. Whoa, kid, give me that. Light your own cigarette.
Thanks, I needed one.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a trip of a character for sure. I love his plays. Those are like probably for me the most laugh out loud moments.
Yeah.
Because just like how incredible the production value of these plays are at like a high school or like
high school level.
Or whatever it is, right? Like the acting is like phenomenal. The fucking effects are like ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember like the fucking Vietnam play. He had like the helicopters
in
but
the
background, like toy helicopters. Yeah. So, but it still looks fucking real.
Great.
And there's like actual bombs going off and shit.
Dude, that was. Or what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say he also has like the fucking like fighter jet like flying across like in the back and shit. Like,
dude, that part, the Vietnam play was for sure the most laugh out loud moment for me because like you're sitting there and like there's a little bit of build up to it and everything, right? He like starts to get the crew back together, blah blah blah. And then it starts, and it's like Dirk and fucking, he finally recruits one of Bill Murray's sons. I can't remember which one it is because they're twins. But
fucking
one of the Scottish kids.
Is Dirk with the bully?
No, Dirk is his kid best friend. The young blonde kid. He tells his bully, that's another funny one too, where like he's sitting up there and like, he's like fucking with him and he's like, I heard you got expelled or whatever. And he's like, cause he's always hanging out with Dirk's mom, who's like a very attractive older woman. Right. Mm-hmm. And so the fucking Scottish kid or whatever is giving him shit. And he's like, spent all that time with her. You never even got any or whatever. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, how do you think I got expelled? He's like, you're fucking shitting me. And he's like, oh, no, swear to God, hand job in the back of the car. You really think I got expelled just because of the grades or whatever and stuff like that? And then Dirk gets pissed. It's a whole thing or whatever.
Fuck, what's that kid's name?
I can't remember. But it just cracks me up because it starts and it's just like such classic Vietnam, like gruff fucking American like movie version of it. They come out and they're just like, hey, Johnny, how you doing? And they're like, it's body this and that or whatever. And they get fucking, Dirk has like a fucking flamethrower and like a cigar in his mouth. And he's like, light him up, Jimmy! And it's like, coo. Like, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it has a legit flamethrower.
Yeah. Like, and he's just sitting there like screaming in his little kid voice, like, ah! It's fucking hilarious.
They have
bro.
like a band over his fucking head.
Dude, yeah. That shit cracked me up, dude. I could not stop laughing. Oh, yeah. Apocalypse Now. I think it's Apocalypse Now. I'm pretty sure. Here's what that second one was. And then the first one is like, I've never seen it before, but it's called like Serpico, which I think is like a detective one, I'm assuming, because it's like cops, undercover cops and shit like that. But yeah, those are for sure one of the funniest bits to me is his fucking plays. They're just so like outrageous that he can put together this shit. It's so funny.
Yeah, I like at the end when he's finally dancing with fucking, what's her name? Is it Margaret?
Margaret Yang.
And he's like, yeah, the part where I was hanging off the helicopter, he's like, that was imposed.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah,
she's oh, I love that part when you hung onto the helicopter. I know, it's completely improvised. It's so he's just like he's like, it's just really a testament to like how long Jason Schwartzman has been that good. Is because like he's an 18-year-old playing a 15-year-old who has just like the almost douchey charisma of like a director like that, right? He's like walking down the hall and he sees Margaret and he's like, what are you doing later? And she's like, oh, I have guitar class. And he's like, what are we talking? Classical? What? And she's like, rock. He's all, oh, that's good. We can get you out of that. And he's like, let me see you without your glasses. Yeah, put her in for a 3:30. It's like walking away. And he's like, and bring a headshot. Like, just like such an asshole about it, you know, like just so nonchalant. But he does it so perfectly, dude. It's hilarious. It's so good.
Yeah, I really like this movie by the end of it, man. It was, it's definitely touching as well. Like, it's a little heartwarming.
Yeah, it becomes heartwarming by the end.
It becomes heartwarming by the end. Yeah. At first you're like, what the fuck? This kid's
Yeah,
a fucking weirdo.
it's a long
asshole.
road.
And then,
Yeah.
It's definitely, I don't know if I like, didn't expect
It's actually really,
that.
it's one of his, like, more funnier ones, actually. It might be.
Yeah.
It's one of his most normal
Yeah,
films.
Definitely.
Super,
Yeah, for sure.
You definitely do have, like, the Wes Anderson, like, vibe going on with him, like, breaking up, like, the months and stuff like that.
Yeah, the transitions.
Like, I finished it. I rewatched it after I had watched Asteroid City the first time. And I was like, oh, I like that. Because in Asteroid City, he has the Act 1 scene, blah, 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 Act 1. And this was nice seeing, like, this is, like, the beginning of that. Like, he's like, oh, let me try with this.
Yeah.
Let me try this right here. And it was cool. I liked it because I like knowing when we are getting into a different, like, time period in like, a movie. Like, I hate when I'm going through a movie, I'm like, didn't this fool just do something like 5 seconds ago?
Yeah,
like,
but it was actually like 5 months ago or
yeah,
something.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it definitely can be done tastefully for sure. Like, it's nice when, like, this was cool, right? Because, like, he has, like, obviously a big part of Max's character is, like, he's a play writer and director. And so seeing the curtains come on each transition, it's like August. Like, fucking shit, it's fucking still play oriented, right? In the same way like Asteroid City is or whatever.
Yeah.
Damn it, dude. There's the through line again. The plays happens every time. But yeah, it's nice when it's like in context with like other shit in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice. Yeah, it's really nice. I like that it breaks it up because you can directly see like he goes through many like ups and downs like in this movie. It's not just like he goes up once and he hits his rock bottom.
Yeah.
And then he fucking comes back up and he's like, oh yeah, end the movie. Great. It's like he starts out at the movie in like a really like high place. He's like, oh yeah, I'm this fucking kid. I got all these fucking clubs. I'm the head of. Life's fucking great. And then the principal pulls him in. Hey yo, you gotta fucking do better.
Dr. Guggenheim.
And he's just like, kind of, whatever. And then that's when he first initially starts to go down, especially when Miss Cross is like, yeah, we can't fucking do this shit, And then he kind of comes back up a little bit when he feels like he's getting somewhere. And then he fucking falls down again when fucking he finds out Herman and fucking Miss Cross are trying to, woohoo. And freaking, nah.
I like it.
Yeah. But, and then by the end of the movie, when he fucking, him and Dirk are fucking talking right there, and he's just fucking chilling, and he's just like,
levels out a little bit. He still, what's cool is like he still gets to do the thing that he loves, right? Which is like kind of the big quote of the movie, right? Which is like, I think at one point Bill Murray asks him, or Herman asks him, he's like, what's the secret? He's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you seem to have things pretty figured out. Like, what is it or whatever? And he's like, well, I think you just need to find the thing that you love and keep doing that thing until you can't anymore, or whatever it is, however he says it or whatever. And it's nice because he does eventually come back to that, right? Like, we get introduced to him as like this like playwright, like superstar kid or whatever, who's like obviously very creative at like a very young age and everything like that. And he does go through these weird motions of stuff, but by the end, he's essentially like the same person, just like humbled a little bit, which is cool. I like it. He doesn't necessarily have like a super huge character change necessarily. He just like realizes like, oh yeah, I was kind of being.
I gotta tone it.
Down.
Tone it down a little bit. Yeah. I'm not an adult. I'm just a kid.
No, yeah, it's good shit, man. I liked it a lot. It was pretty solid.
Fuck yeah, mate. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, and another couple of funny parts that were cracking me up is I see it right there. Dr. Guggenheim, fucking played by Brian Cox, his like whatever principal of like the private school or whatever, like has a fucking heart attack at one point. He's in the hospital and like he's like I think Dirk tells him, he's like, you should probably go see him, and he's like, all right. So he goes, and his wife like welcomes him in, and is like, he hasn't spoken a word yet, like, but he can hear you if you want to speak with him. And he walks up and he's like, Dr. Guggenheim, I know you probably can't hear me, but I just wanted to say it's me, Max. And he like wakes up all of a sudden and he's like, it's Max. He's here. Like just has like instant fucking PTSD flashbacks and just like, oh fuck, it's this troublesome kid again or whatever. That part fucking cracked me up. And then the other one that I thought was like a funny payoff joke is throughout the whole movie, there's like this super hidden, like recurring thing where Max is like, I assume somewhat embarrassed of like what his dad does, which is like a barber. So he fucking tells everybody in his life that his dad's a neurosurgeon, right? And then it like gets to the point at the end where Luke Wilson's character like is talking with the dad at like the final performance or whatever, and he's like, "So I hear you're a neurosurgeon," and the dad's like, "Nah, just a barber." But weirdly enough, that gets confused a lot. He's like, you'd be surprised at how many times I've heard that.
Fucking hilarious.
It's fucking good
Hey,
shit.
barbers are like neurosurgeons, you know? They gotta have the steady hands.
He's cutting heads, you
Hey,
know?
you're working on the head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's close.
Given the right training, a good barber could probably become a good neurosurgeon.
Probably.
Steady hands, brother. Steady hands.
Steady hands. But yeah, good shit. I liked it a lot. Overall, definitely like a solid, probably like 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I would give it like an 8.3.
Nice.
I will say. I definitely had fun with it. I don't know where I would rank it. I have to watch all Wes Anderson's movies to be like, oh yeah, this is his best one, man. Because I know this is one that a lot of people really like hold up in that upper echelon of Wes Anderson movies when when they're mentioning like his best films, like this is definitely one of them. And I don't disagree, but I have to watch all of them to say whether I agree with that or not. You know.
I mean, usually early in any artist's career, some of their first work is usually their best.
Yeah. Well, they're not held to any standards yet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After a
Not
while,
that
they're...
they're being held to any standards.
No, yeah.
But the reason I say that is
yeah.
just because he hadn't really like cemented himself as like I am Wes Anderson. You know,
Yeah.
this is still him like trying to break through, and like a Bottle Rocket like by any means was not like this super smash hit like movie that people were like, oh my god, this shit's fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, and like this got Golden Globe nominated, all this fucking shit. Like this movie got that. So like this is him still trying to establish himself. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting because like he has a very distinct style now, and especially when we get into Asteroid City, we'll talk about that. And like he's still like you said, like there's flashes of that like this is who I want to be, but he's not necessarily putting it in there, probably because of like the public perception of like, okay, I still have to make a movie that's somewhat appealing to everybody,
Well,
right? Because if he like if back then if he would have made like an Asteroid City, people were probably like, what the fuck is this?
Well, the other thing too that I wanted to bring up, which is that like I think I agree with you that he's not quite there, but I think he's for sure trying to be who he is to his fullest. What really I saw the difference between Asteroid City and this movie is literally just budget.
Yeah,
Like it's just budget. He just
the
did
writing's there.
Yeah, and it will beyond that too. Even the camera work is there. Like the thing that like you have to understand about something like Asteroid City is that like as simple as that movie looks, because of how like plainly Wes Anderson, like plain almost seems like a bad word, right? Like a bad descriptor, but I don't mean it in that way. Like Wes Anderson has a way of making plain become very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But that costs a lot more money to set up than probably anything having to do with this movie. In terms of getting that set ready and getting those angles right and getting those camera shots and getting that color and getting all of that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that a lot of the tricks that he is using in all of his other movies are more than present here. He just had to do them guerrilla style. He like you said, he wasn't at that like acclaimed level yet where studios are going to throw money at him because they know they're going to probably be like these super successful box office hits. So he had to just do it with what he had, and like
Maybe that's why.
people still hold it up.
Yeah, maybe that's why some of his more recent movies aren't as good as like Rushmore was, because the writing is there, but maybe it's like overproduced now.
It could
you
be,
know?
yeah. Well, because that was one of the things that like I enjoyed so much about Asteroid City is it's like as much as I do love the Wes Anderson aesthetic, because of how much of like almost a meme I would say it's become, right? Like people are like, oh, what if you were doing your laundry but Wes Anderson style?
Yeah,
Or
I
like,
see that
oh,
everywhere now.
It's like very recent though. I'll say
No,
that's very
it
recent.
is,
Pretty
but
recently,
it's
but yeah, I see people posting stuff like that, like visiting this city.
as Wes
if
Anderson
it was
or
a Wes
whatever,
Anderson
yeah.
film. Yeah,
But the thing is, it's like shit moves so fast nowadays. Like, at least me personally, I get tired of stuff like the second it happens. Like 3 months back then, you would have maybe been hit with like 2 or 3 videos of something, right? But 3 months now, and there's like fucking thousands of them at this point. So like you get exhausted a lot quicker. And so seeing like a meta version where like at times he's almost making fun of what it means to make a Wes Anderson movie in Asteroid City was like a breath of fresh air for me. It was like, oh, fucking A, he can finally like step outside of like the Wes Anderson thing, you know, and like make comment on it and like take a look at it from like a different perspective for a second. Because it's like so much of it, again, it's beautiful to look at and it's super funny all the time and the writing is definitely always there, but like a lot of it becomes like somewhat samey after like Royal Tenenbaums, I think. Like everything becomes like not the stories necessarily, but everything happening with the camera work and stuff, and like that's why people are able to make like these parody videos of it, right? Because there are so many like similar shots or similar angles or similar tricks that he uses all the time.
I mean, when
you
watching
could,
that thing, it
but
was
you
even
could say
going
that
over.
with like, you could say that with like Michael Bay. You could say that with like any of these like
Yeah, oh,
bigger
yeah.
directors. Like they have a style that like once you get,
There's
I
always
think
gonna be
like
sparks.
Yeah.
once you get to a certain point, I think as a director, like it's hard. I wouldn't like it's hard like especially like Wes Anderson now. It's like I wouldn't say it's hard for him to like stray off and do something else, but it's like why when I have a style that I'm very much committed to and I really like,
Yeah.
like why am I going to go off and do like
And
something
people almost
else? You know what I'm
expect
saying?
that now.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's
Like
why
when I watch the Wes Anderson film, I expect
Yeah, to
and
see
like
it,
with
yeah.
Michael
Yeah,
Bay
those
too, right?
shots.
It's like and like say like Christopher Nolan too. Like
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan is going to have these like beautiful, dark, like grittier type of like movies that like they're gritty but they're clean at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
and like it's
yeah.
gonna
Crisp.
like it might confuse you a little bit,
Yeah,
blah blah blah, and
yeah.
it's gonna be on this grand scale. You know, it's like they have their specific type of movie and they know like what works.
Yeah.
and so they're not gonna be like they're not gonna stray away from it too far.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I think what it is like the reason why I bring it up is that that's why I could see something like Rushmore being held a lot higher than his other movies because it was fresh at the time. That's a beautiful thing to find your style and figure out your voice as a filmmaker and everything like that. But when you do so much of it, it does become expected. It does become the norm. It's not different necessarily anymore because Wes Anderson is now a style of filmmaking. That's not just him anymore.
Literally.
That's something that other filmmakers will replicate and take advantage. Same with Christopher Nolan, right? Like I haven't watched any Chris Nolan movies probably past like Inception. I want to go see Oppenheimer, very much so, but it's like same thing. Like I'm almost like a little bit tired because it is so distinctly that person. You know what I mean? Like it becomes the same thing over and over. It just gets repetitive. So I could see how somebody would take Rushmore and put it up there higher because it's like, oh shit, this was fresh in 1998. Like this is the first time you saw
That
Wes
type of-
Anderson
that
doing
type
his
of style,
shit or whatever.
or that
yeah.
type of style of filming. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm sure there was influences, right? Other filmmakers probably
had-
did
yeah.
things similar, whatnot. But this is the first time you saw him really peek his head out and be like, "Yo, this is me. This is my style. This is how I'm gonna make movies for the next fucking what? We're almost done."
I mean,
30
he'll
years
be
at
like
this
a film influencer. There'll be some younger director that'll take over some of his. I mean, when he probably long gone and dead and everything.
Yeah, somebody will take inspiration.
Some artists will pick up his inspiration
and run with it, dude.
and run with it. Yeah.
What I really honestly like get like sad about is like I wish it was filmmakers that would take that shit and run with it, but honestly it ends up being like YouTubers who do it, right? Like it's so much easier to make like a parody video that's like, oh, what if this thing was Wes Anderson that is only like 5 minutes long than it is to make like a feature film that's like based off of a Wes Anderson thing and whatnot, you know?
See, me personally, I think I like Royal Tenenbaums more than like Rushmore. Like I love Rushmore, but I think Royal Tenenbaums is where like he meets that almost perfect intersection of like being Wes Anderson and telling like a really good like emotional story.
That
Like
one's
telling like a really great story. Not that Rushmore isn't a good story. Like I like it a lot, but I think Royal Tenenbaums might even be that first one where he's like, oh no, like this is me, like Wes Anderson. Like Rushmore, I think has flashes of it. Like there is like certain scenes where shit's symmetrical, but it feels like like I don't want to say it feels like just a regular movie, but it feels like you can group it in with just movie like other coming of age movies, and it like the style almost fits that because of how much of it is like I wouldn't say not his style, but not the typical not the typical Wes Anderson, right? Where I feel like Rushmore is where he really like, okay, no, this is me and this is my style as Wes Anderson.
Yeah, or Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh,
right?
Royal Tenenbaums.
Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah, you're right though. It is a more. That's probably one of his
and
most
then even
emotional.
Getting into
movies.
like the Life Aquatic, right? I think even like
that
just
too,
starts to like
emotional.
dive deeper into like what like
There's
what
a lot
can
of funny scenes, but there's also a lot of.
God damn it.
Like in those, there's a lot of funny scenes, but there's also a deeper.
Emotional story
emotional
at
weird.
play.
And then like the Life
Almost takes you on
Aquatic,
a roller coaster.
the scene that always sticks out to me in like the Life Aquatic. Not to get too much on this before we get into Asteroid City, but like the scene that always sticks out to me in the Life Aquatic, where I'm like, oh shit, this is Wes Anderson, is when they're going through the submarine and they're showing you the different fucking parts of it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
the different rooms. It's the Royal Tenenbaums thing. They do that. That's where it happens first, I think, is the different rooms, the different locations and stuff. Yeah.
But I was like, fuck. Yeah. Like this is like to me, like if I was him, this would be like, okay, this is me. This is what I've wanted to do. And again, that probably goes back to the budget thing.
That's what I'm saying.
And Rushmore, he probably didn't have the budget to do that shit.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I keep bringing it back to Rushmore. Is it's like this is probably mostly due to the fact. And actually, I had a conversation with Evelyn about this because she obviously came to the movies to watch this with us.
She didn't like it.
No, she didn't like the movie, which I knew she wasn't going to. I thought she was a trooper for coming along with us anyways because I knew from the beginning. I was like, she's not gonna like it.
When you said that she was coming, I was like,
I was like, no, this is not a movie for her. But she mainly just went because she wanted to see you. But we talked about it afterwards, and I had to give her the disclaimer. I was like, I will tell you this, that like a fat chunk of my enjoyment of both Asteroid City and this movie is because right now at school I am learning all of these or teaching and learning at the same time, like all of these fundamentals of filmmaking, right? And like we are having to do it with like very little like stuff to work with, obviously, right? And so like it's there again. It's just like there's no budget yet, or there's no Wes Anderson name for him to tell everybody involved with the movie, like, no, I need you to make every single thing in this room symmetrical. But that doesn't stop him in Rushmore from still framing his characters in the room in symmetrical ways, right? It might not be as like cut and clean and perfect as it is in the later movies, but when you watch it in Rushmore, it is 100% still there. Like he just didn't have the complete control that he does in all of his later movies, obviously, right? Because Rushmore was like the first one that brought him success, so people were like, yeah, okay, we trust you, do whatever you want. But like that is one thing that you need when it comes to his style of stuff, is like complete control over every single thing that is happening on the screen. That's the set, the lighting, the color, the actors, how they're moving, where they stand, where their marks are, everything. And like it's just, I find it very like inspiring that he was able to fucking pull that shit off with what seems like, again, a very little budget, and I think it's still like pretty certifiably like Wes Anderson for sure.
No, yeah,
I just looked up actually what the budget for Rushmore was. 10 million.
10 million? That's a small amount for a movie. Yeah,
Holy
that's pretty
shit,
small.
That's super small.
Considering that like you have numbers like fucking hundreds of millions of dollars for some of like the smaller fucking movies that happen nowadays, that's not a lot of money. Like that's making some shit work with what you got for sure.
Make shit work with what you got.
And then they gave him almost twice that
for the next
28 million for the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
So I'm sure his budget just started going up. I'm sure if I look up Life Aquatic,
Steve Zissou's probably
it's going to be like 60 million or something like that.
Fun fact. In Rushmore, he is reading a book that is the inspiration for the Life Aquatic. Basically.
No way. That's cool as fuck. I like that a lot. That's awesome.
Because I forget.
Little Wes Anderson cinematic universe or what?
Oh, no. A little bit more for...
What did he hit up? Like 30, 40 million?
It says 50 mil.
That's he's starting to get up there.
53 million.
Starting to get up there after.
So he got almost double every
movie.
Yeah.
All right. I think
the amount of what's it called? Like A-list stars too that he has in every movie just increases. That's the one thing without a doubt noticed, bro. Like every fucking movie,
he just seems to like add somebody new to his like cast of.
Even his cartoons, he has fucking or his claymation ones.
Oh yeah, the voice acting talent is insane.
I mean,
like George Clooney.
George Clooney.
Yeah,
I don't even know if he's ever done another.
Are you finding the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my
Steve
good
Zissou.
friend Mr. Jacob, we have come to the point in the podcast that always happens.
He's
at
gotta
one point.
pee.
I gotta fucking pee. So I gotta scoot past you really quick. I can hop over you if you want to sit there, but I don't want to make you uncomfortable. That's all. And then I think it's just around Asteroid City time, yeah.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
I'm like I said, very excited to hear of like a more understanding place for this movie because I still don't really know what.
Yeah. So the book.
Yeah, me neither.
The book in Rushmore is called Jacques Cousteau's Diving for Sunken Treasure, and it's funny because I didn't know. Like I was watching it, and on Amazon you can look at like facts for the movie, right? So when I was first watching, I was like, "Damn, like that kind of sounds like some Life Aquatic shit with like Steve Zissou and all that shit." And then reading the fucking fun facts, it's like, "Oh yeah, this book was actually like inspiration."
Do you think
for
he does that in every movie? He puts a little thing into his next.
Probably. I mean, I would assume so because like as a director, you probably like look for things that you're like, "Oh, this could be a nice like little Easter egg for people that like actually like fucking know." You know what I'm saying? Because like that, I think that happens in a lot of movies, and it's funny because I was listening to a Smartless episode today with Simon Pegg. If you don't know who Simon Pegg is, he's in Mission Impossible. He was
I know who Simon Pegg is.
Scotty on fucking the newer like Star Treks and shit like that.
Yeah.
So he wrote the second Star Trek movie, and he said that like when him and like the co-writer like weren't writing or whatever, they would just watch like old episodes of like the classic like Star Trek show just to like, oh, that'd be a cool fucking Easter egg to put that shit. So I assume
To
like
throw in there, or like the science behind it or whatever.
yeah, and especially with
Watch
Wes
those shows.
Anderson, he is very like methodical and knows exactly like what he wants when he's writing his movies and when he's filming them and everything. So I imagine he's like, oh yeah, this book right here, like let's put this in. Like he might not have started writing The Life Aquatic at that point, but maybe he had like an idea for a movie based off of that at that point. And
Something
he
you wanted to dive deeper on.
yeah, and he's like, oh, let's talk about this shit right here.
Let's do it.
But yeah, shall we get into
The City of Asteroids.
the City of Asteroids? Asteroid City, motherfuckers.
Asteroid City.
Let me
What a
look it
crazy
up real
fucking
quick.
movie, dude.
This movie was crazy.
A trip for
It was
sure.
a little overwhelming.
Oh yeah,
City.
100%.
This is Wes Anderson's 11th movie
crazy.
in his
Almost 30 years.
filmography.
It's been a long time since I got uncomfortable in a movie.
And this was
And
one of them.
toward the end, just at the end, bro, that whole like cultish fucking
Yeah, that part was intense.
was intense.
Yeah. Super big time spoilers for the movie. I will say,
Spoilers.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like we usually wouldn't warn about spoilers for something that is not like a big budget superhero movie or something like that. But for this one, I would say go in blind. I do think that this movie hits a lot harder if you go in not really knowing anything about what's going on.
Yeah, because I think
be
this
prepared.
is
Yeah.
I think this is a movie that's meant to be watched a few times.
Yeah.
and it's meant to make you, I think, just feel uncomfortable and just feel like you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Mhm.
Because that's how I like literally in the first when we went to go watch it, like I was so confused about what the fuck was even going on like in the movie, just because again, like the beginning of the movie, we get Bryan Cranston narrating and he's talking about, oh, we got tonight on our we got a show docu-series type thing about the director that's writing a play called Asteroid City, and we are watching the play that is playing out Asteroid City.
Yeah.
So like there's so many times where I was just fucking confused, right? And finally towards the end you have Jason Schwartzman's character, Augie, who breaks character, goes out of the scene and goes to freaking the director and is just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Basically he's just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And at that point I was like, oh thank God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on.
He's like, what does it all? He's like, what does it mean? Like, what is my character supposed to feel? Blah blah blah. And he's like, he's what does he say? He's like, he asked him. He's like, am I doing it right? He's like, you're doing it perfect. He's like, but I don't know what it means. He's like, you don't have to know what it means.
Yeah, he's like, because he comes and he's just like, yeah, am I doing it right? And the director's like, well, the pipe's kind of a little much, and the eyebrow and blah blah blah, things like that. He's like, but
otherwise, yeah.
But he's like, but you're doing it perfect.
Yeah.
and he was like, and then Augie starts talking to him about like, I don't know, like about this guy though, like he's just like so sad and he feels so lost, and then like I'm starting to feel that way, blah 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 blah, and like why does he fucking burn his hand? And he's just like, dude, like you're playing it like
You're doing
perfect.
it. Don't worry about it.
And like don't. And he's like, I don't know why the fuck he burns his hand, but like that's okay. Like you don't have to know. Like we don't have to know. The point is to just be and to just act, like just to get lost in it.
In the
you know?
character, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so first watch, I fucking enjoyed the fuck out of this movie,
Yeah.
even though I left the movie confused and utterly just kind of in shock, like with the last scene, you know?
Yeah, like right before the epilogue.
Yeah,
happens.
right before the epilogue, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
I think that for the most part, the movie is relatively understandable. Like, I don't want to oversell it that this is like the most fucking confusing
movie,
like
yeah.
Tenet style Inception thing or anything like that. It's really just that everything within the context of the play makes pretty solid sense. It's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah.
And then everything even that happens in the telling of the making of the play makes like pretty good sense. That's a little bit harder to wrap your head around, but I think that's still pretty easy, like decent to follow.
It's almost like what's this the big picture of it? Like what's the story behind it? Like
I think
that's
that's
the message.
Yeah, that's where things get muddy because like
what's the message of this one?
yeah, because that's where it gets a little bit like there's multiple different things going on. Like there's a message that's happening in terms of what you're watching, and then there's the one that they just like scream at you for like almost 2 minutes straight.
And then you finally pick it. Yeah.
And it pulls you, it like throws you off a little bit. It's random.
A lot of his other movies, you kind of understand the message. Like Royal Tenenbaums, it's very like family oriented.
Yeah.
Like all your family's
We were
issues.
talking about for
yeah.
Rushmore, it's like a coming of age story.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Moonrise Kingdom, it's like star-crossed lovers.
Yeah.
You know, like young love or whatever.
Yeah, you can get to the root of it pretty like
You can get the root of it
easily.
pretty good. This one, I was like trying to figure out like what is the.
well, like what Daniel was saying earlier, like it is very much like a meta commentary on
Yeah.
like Wes Anderson himself,
Yeah.
almost like commenting on
His own style, his
just
own
how his own style, and maybe also how he feels like as like a story writer, right? Because I feel like there's, especially maybe like this point in his career, there might be times where he like makes, like I've heard this a lot about like the French Dispatch, like where it's just like a clusterfuck of shit like going
Yeah.
on. People are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You
that
know,
one
so,
was hard to watch.
you know, so I feel like especially with like with Edward Norton's character, the writer of the play, right?
Yeah, definitely.
When fuck, who's like Augie, like what's his like name?
I can't remember like the actor
Yeah.
playing Augie.
But like he comes and he, you know, does his pitch for the part, right?
The character, yeah.
And he asks him like, what is fucking like what does why does Augie burn his hand on the sandwich griddle or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't know. Like I don't even know myself. Like I haven't got to that. Like that's just kind of like how it came out, like how it was written.
Yeah.
And from one of the videos that I watched, which a point that they made, which I found pretty interesting, was like as a storyteller, like when you like initially as a storyteller, like you tell stories that kind of mirror like your experiences. Like they have your experiences like bleed into the story. Like, because what else are you gonna write about? You're gonna write
Yeah.
about what you know. And sometimes as a story writer, you probably get to the point where you've maybe exhausted all of those stories that you can put in from yourself that you can put into the movies that you're writing.
Yeah.
Like your inspiration from your real
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 life.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
every
and then you
director
probably
has
get to a
that.
point
Yeah.
where you're just writing stories to write a story.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe you don't even know what the fuck you're putting into this shit. But
So
you're
the burning
just
of his hand was just
yeah,
like,
but you're just so into being a story writer and writing a story that's just how that shit goes on. It might not have any fucking deep meaning, but
Well, the other thing too that like I think is like an interesting idea is it's like that to me seems like a really, really strongly written character, right? Because like very oftentimes nowadays in movies, people will write what is going to happen in a movie rather than write good characters that will then go through things and handle things differently, right? Because like it's easy, I won't say easy, sorry, but it is more doable, I'll say, to make the point in the movie like, okay, Augie's gonna burn his hand on the plate at the end of this movie. How do we get from point A to point B, right? Versus if you write a character so realistic like Augie is, right? Just somebody who's lost in his own grief to the point where he does something because he doesn't even know it, but it fits with his character, right? It doesn't break out of who we see as Augie. That's like an authentic character, because a real person in real life wouldn't be like, I'm going to fucking burn my hand on a toaster later. Like, they're just sitting there grieving and they just fucking touch a thing. So like, it makes sense
Almost like
that he doesn't know why he did it, because a
people
real
are having
person,
so much pain, like hurt themselves just to feel something.
yeah, type of
Because they're
vibe.
just so numb from
Yeah.
all the shit that's been going. Yeah,
But that's not like a
the-
planned thing, though, right? Like, that's just something it's an impulse. It's something that
something
just
that
comes out
happens.
of him as a character or as a
Yeah.
person or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I've been thinking about it, I also feel like that might be a commentary on viewers always looking for a deeper meaning behind the littlest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
especially, like, I think it's super popular in, like,
Analyzing stuff now,
like,
man. It's a
like
big thing.
sci-fi and shit
Yeah.
like that. When, like in Star Wars, right? When one character does the
Anything.
littlest
A stormtrooper
minute
can
thing,
fucking cough from getting kicked in the
and
balls.
people
they'll
will
be
come
like-
out with a million fucking
Yeah.
theory videos about what they think that is, right? And sometimes that's just like the writer literally just wrote that in the story because it's
Yeah.
like, fuck, that just came out. I didn't have any, like, I wasn't thinking about, oh, the fucking stormtrooper was limping because fucking 6 months ago he freaking broke his leg. No, like, he was just fucking stormtrooper was already, and he was
Stormtrooper
limping
with a
away.
limp,
Like,
yeah.
that's just what it was. And
Yeah.
I feel like that was almost like a commentary on that of, like, we're in this age of where we need to fucking know everything. We need to know what the meaning is behind this, the meaning is behind that.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is none.
Well, it's also just about, like, I think that same conversation is like, sometimes you, like, we've talked about this a lot before, right? Is it's like, it's difficult sometimes to just surrender to the logic of a movie. Like, we want things to have reason and we want things to make sense within the context of our own world. But even in something like, I mean, there's aliens in this movie, right? But it's not like fucking Thanos versus the Avengers or anything like that, right? Like, it's
It's like a claymation.
it's
Imagine
a-
they had a fucking
it's
fight
yeah,
against that.
it's it's a relatively normal movie, right? It takes place just like in a normal in a town with normal people who again go through like extraterrestrial activity, but it's not like a superhero movie or anything like that, right? But even still, it's important that the audience understands that they need to just to surrender to the rules of the world that that director is building. Like, you can't apply real world logic to things that happen in a movie because it's happening in a movie. It doesn't abide by real world rules. It sets up its own rules for how things work in that or whatever. Even like you said, down to the simplest things of like, no, that person just walked with a fucking limp because they walked with a fucking limp. Or that dude just put his hand on the thing because he's put his hand on the thing. Like, you don't need to be like, well, in real life, if somebody was to be walking with a limp, it's because they had a history of this, this, and that, or like so on and so forth. It's like you said, sometimes people just do shit because they do it, or things just happen in a movie because the director wanted that shit to happen. And it's like, yeah, it's mixed up in like a bunch of other stuff for sure. Cause like we started talking about like the big scene in the movie, I think, right? Like probably the most standout scene is there seems to be like a lot of this like meta, subtle, almost cheeky, like poking your friend next to you like, hey, that was pretty Wes Anderson, huh? I think we did that a couple times while we were watching it, right? But then all of a sudden he like flips a 180 of like something he's never done before, and he just starts speaking directly to the audience with a single fucking message, which is you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep, right? And it's like such a hard shift, not only in tone of the movie, because the whole thing breaks down, right? All of the actors are no longer playing their characters. You see them as the regular actors. They also start speaking directly to you. Every single one of them looks right at the camera when they deliver the line the first time. And then they all start bunching up together. And then to go even fucking further, the fucking alien comes out of nowhere with the Rock staring at you, not saying anything, right in front of everything else. And again, it's much different. I think while we were talking about, like, you can usually get to the core of what Wes Anderson movies are about pretty easily, but it's not like he's beating you over the head with it. It's not ever as plain as what this was of like, I'm going to tell you a message right now to your face. Like, It was a fucking trip, man. It was like so different than anything else he's ever done. It's like shell shocking. It's like, holy fuck, what's happening to me right now?
Yeah, that whole scene was shell shocking.
Yeah, it was intense. I like, you could feel
The vibe in the movie theater.
the
of
whole
people,
audience all of a sudden was like, what just
What
happened
the
to us?
fuck is
like,
going on?
Yeah, it was a trip.
Because up until that point, we've been getting some pretty like lighthearted, like
Yeah.
somewhat serious, but
There's some
also like
heavier
pretty
yeah.
jokey like shit going down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's just like
Serious.
you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. What? What
You
did he
can't
say?
wake up if you
And then they
don't
can't
repeated
wake up if
it
you
like
don't-
30 times to the point where you're like,
It's like
oh my God,
it's
how,
at
like-
least a 2-minute sequence, maybe even a little longer. It happens for a long time, and it is for sure very jarring. It's intense.
It's in black and white and everything, so you're like almost
Yep.
get creeped out.
Well,
a
no,
little
it
bit.
gets when they start saying you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. That's when it's in color.
Oh, it flips.
All
at
of
that?
them, because
Yeah.
they're all the people who were in black and white the whole time are all of a sudden in color.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. There's also the other one too that is more subtle, but it's like kind of a hint. It's almost like a warm up for what's gonna happen later. Is there's a sequence where you see Bryan Cranston in color all of a sudden, and he's standing there, and like the actors kind of look at him and they're like tripping, and he's like, "Am I not in this?"
He goes, I'm not in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, sorry, I guess this is for later." Whatever. And so it's almost like to me, it almost feels like a warm up, right? Of like, okay, things are a little off. Like we're gonna offset you with some trippy shit here and there. But then it just fucking drops you into the deep end, man. It's like dipping your toe in the pool versus like jumping in the ocean. Like, it's a big difference. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. I think Diggs put this pretty well, like in our like group message when like the movie was basically about like what to do when you're faced with like the unknown and you
Sure.
don't know shit, and like everything that you've known to become true is all of a sudden shattered, and now there's other evidence of other things out there. And I was thinking about that a lot, like the second time I watched it, and like the first instance where you get this like almost this foreshadowing of like there's gonna be shit that's unknown that you don't fucking know that you're gonna be like is when they're fixing the car, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you either got this first problem that's costs 1.75 piece and it's super easy, or you got this wrong that's gonna make me deconstruct the whole blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
it's gonna cost a lot of fucking
Because
money.
last time this happened, the car's over there. And
Yeah,
it's
just
like a
scrap.
ass car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he freaking turns on the car and he's like, oh, you're good. And then something falls out, and then he's like, well, what's that? And he's like, I don't know.
know.
Like, and
That's the
that's
third
like the
problem.
first time you're faced with
Yeah.
a problem in which you don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
So you really have to figure out what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And Jason Schwartzman like, fuck, all right, I gotta call my and it really like kicks everything off into like, all right, I gotta call my fucking dad. I gotta do this, or my not step. I gotta call my father-in-law. I
Yeah.
gotta do this, do that. So it's like, he's giving you little like fucking bits and pieces like here and there, and then when the alien comes, he just fucking smacks you with it.
That part is
Pause.
beautiful because it not only is it like visually stunning because it's an alien contact done in a Wes Anderson style by Wes Anderson, not somebody making a parody about it, right? It's really fucking him, the OG, executing that on like the highest level. It's also got like it's like a weird blend of like eerie but also warm music, right? Because this alien comes down and he's like funny. He's not scary. He's not intimidating. It looks like if they wanted to, they could probably kill his ass because he's like this skinny little creature.
Little thing, yeah.
But he's just funny. And he even interacts with them in a joking manner, right? Because he takes the rock and he sees it, and then he sees that Jason Schwartzman's taking a picture, and
He poses with it.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So like it's very different already too from like the type of contact stories we're used to, right? There's more like there's a lot like heavier stakes at play of like, what does this mean for the face of the earth? And like, oh, how do we communicate with this thing? Or like, oh, are they gonna blow us up or whatever? And this guy's just like, I just want to look at this rock for a second, and I'll bring it back when
It was
I'm
more
done.
like just the whole like cast right there that saw the alien thing. They just looked at him like, he just stole our fucking rock.
yeah.
Not like
I think the alien just took our rock.
it was more of that rather than like,
Yeah.
oh my god, we saw an alien. It
Yeah.
was like, he just took our fucking rock.
yeah.
See, and that's where the modernism versus postmodernism comes into play, right? Because up until that point, they didn't really think that aliens existed, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
get that conversation with Liev Schreiber's character and then Ricky's fucking dad, where
Yeah.
Ricky's like, "Oh, we don't know. There could be fucking aliens out there,"
like,
and
"Nope."
Liev
Yeah.
Schreiber's like,
There's
"No,
no way.
man,
Definitely
like,
not.
And
Yeah.
so
Theoretically impossible.
Yeah.
and that's
Like-
very much modernism versus postmodernism.
Postmodernism, yeah.
Like they're like Liev Schreiber's character is this like the embodiment of like, nah, there's one truth. If there was fucking aliens out there, they would have come already. So there's no fucking aliens out there.
Yeah.
Where Ricky's dad is like, I don't know, man. Like there fucking could be. We
Maybe.
don't fucking know. The
Yeah.
vastness of space is like infinity, so we don't fucking know what the fuck is going down.
Yeah.
And then once the alien comes, everyone is forced to switch their perspective on everything, and everything that they first believed is true is no longer true.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what the fuck? So they have to fucking deal with that in real
Yeah.
time and like, what does this fucking mean?
We'll see, because that's the part that confuses me about the movie, right? And I think it's meant to be. Is it like I understand that within the context of the play
Yeah.
and within the context of even the movie about the play.
Mm-hmm.
Where that falls apart for me is the statement, because maybe I'm just dumb and I can't connect the language to it, but I can't find the connection to that message and the words, you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep.
Well, you can't. So the thing about that is you can't.
That's what I'm having issues with.
You
too.
can't believe in all this stuff. Like you can't have this mind, like this thing, if you don't like fully give yourself over to that, right? So like, for you making music, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't make a song if you don't fully give yourself over to the process of song making, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to break your walls down. You got to get a little vulnerable. You got to think about stories in your life that are going to influence this song, a story that you're going to tell. You can't do that if you don't get into the mindset of, okay, I'm going to fucking make a song right now.
See, so I do understand what you're saying, but like this is just where like this is the meat and potatoes of like talking about movies, right? It's like people have different perspectives. It's like, to me, the way that sentence is phrased makes the waking up part of that the positive connotation versus the falling asleep bit, like not necessarily negative, but like the other. You know what I mean? He's saying you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep, which almost makes it seem like he's asking you to wake up. But if the falling asleep is giving into the process and the this and that or whatever it is, then that's the thing he's asking you to almost move away from in that statement. You know what I mean?
I think you're just thinking about it a little bit too. Like, I think you're letting the complexity of like the movie just kind of fuck with that statement. Because I think that statement is meant to just be super simple.
Well,
You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. That's straight up. Like, I can't wake up from something if I don't fall asleep. So I think it's just meant to be super simple like that. You can't do one thing. You can't make progress if you don't actually start to if you don't give yourself over to the steps to make the progress, right? I can't fucking get big muscles like Jacob if I don't commit to going to the gym.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's like, I would like to think that he probably even has something in mind that might be different from what the general conversation is around it is. Because like, even if he has something that he knows he put the meaning into, that doesn't necessarily mean that like others can't like pull other types of like understanding out of that statement, right? Like that's where like the subjectivity of like watching movies comes into play. We can all watch the exact same movie and have an entirely different experience from it. So like I said, like I do like that idea, but that doesn't seem to me to be like at least like for me personally, that doesn't feel like the ultimate click between the two things, between the statement and that sequence and what everything else.
So
in
what
the
Ryan
movie
is saying about the statement is, I get that.
Yeah.
But like you can't do something without
giving over to the process.
Process. But yeah, how does that relate to the movie?
Well, because the other reason why it's so interesting to me is it's like, typically, I think I would be more comfortable surrendering to the idea of like, okay, yeah, you're not supposed to think about it too hard. Like, it's just a statement. But the fact that Wes Anderson never does this, never speaks directly to the audience, never repeats a line over and over and over with the entire cast as much as it happens this one, tells me that there's more to that than just a simple statement. There's like almost a hypnotic nature about that scene that to me just planted like an endless supply of like subliminal curiosity. Like it, again, just with the context of who he is as a filmmaker, it's hard for me to believe that he would break his own like canon, so to speak, so heavily just for something that you're supposed to take at face value. I could be wrong about that. That could be me overthinking about it for sure. But again, it's like so different for him as a filmmaker. Like a part of me just like really wants to believe and is just curious about like, is there deeper meaning to that statement? Like, is there multiple ways to read that statement? Did he have multiple things in mind? Like,
maybe that's the point, is like he knew, like, as viewers, we're like you said, viewers take movies differently.
yeah,
And I think that's the point of this line, is to probably be like, he has maybe in his heart a reason why he put that part into the movie. Maybe there was like something personal within him, like he was trying to evoke through that.
yeah,
But I think also putting that in, being like, damn, people who are going to watch this are going to take this in completely different ways.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I think that's probably just like the point of it.
yeah. Well, it also makes sense with like what I think is like a condensed version of what the theme of this movie is, which is just grief, right? Like there's a lot of our main character and a lot of the characters surrounding are dealing with loss in some way or another, right? And so that's a very
Or
personal,
some sort of hardship.
yeah, or something or other. And that is in itself like a very personal process that everybody does go through differently, right? So like it does make sense that he would make a statement that everybody is going to process differently on their own terms or in their own way or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because like it might be more towards the later stages of grief, right? Like we might not necessarily be seeing like all 5 of them or anything like that, but the majority of the main cast, I think, is dealing with like loss of something on like some level or another, for sure. Whether it's like loss of the old understanding that they used to have, loss of a mother / wife / daughter with the main family unit that we have, right? Loss of innocence when it comes to like these kids being thrust into like all of a sudden like much different world, whatever it is, right? There's like, to me it seems like
Yeah,
there's
what's,
loss and grief at the center of it, for sure.
Scarlett Johansson, she plays
Midge
Campbell.
Midge Campbell. Yeah, she's dealing with isn't she doing with like an ex-husband thing or something like that?
Yeah.
No, I think her thing is she has this line with Augie where she's talking about how they're very similar, and the fact that like they're both parents, but they kind of don't, like, they have other things keeping them from like actually fully being parents.
Well, their children aren't their first priority.
Yeah, their
That's what
children
they
aren't their
talk about.
fucking
Yeah,
first
yeah,
priority.
yeah.
So
They have other things they want to do first,
Yeah.
and they're not thinking about their kids before that. Yeah, they're like what I think it is. It's like they're not bad parents necessarily. They're not great parents, but they're not horrible parents necessarily. But I think they definitely view themselves as bad parents. You know what I mean? Like I think Augie thinks he's probably not doing a super great job with his kids, which, you know, at times you could see it as not, right? He straight up tells his children at one point, like, yeah, I was thinking about abandoning you, but I didn't. Which is like, okay.
He goes, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah, you can make the argument like, okay, but he said he wasn't going to. But also he told his like teenage and below kids, like, I was going to abandon you, but I decided not to. You know, like that's hardcore to hear. And like, again,
their mom's been dead for like over a week or something like
3
that.
weeks.
3
And
weeks,
he
yeah.
didn't
3
tell
weeks.
them anything. Yeah. And it's like, again, you can make the argument
And then
like,
he tries to justify. He asks his oldest son, he's like, did you know the whole time?
yeah. And it's like, these are things that are definitely, I think, bad choices from a parenting perspective, right? But because like they say to each other very plainly, like they have other priorities in mind. They have other things they like feel they need to take care of first. They're not always like there as a parent first. But again, though, I don't think they're necessarily like bad parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think they just view themselves that way. They're like they struggle with it at the very least, you know? Because like, what's her name straight up says it. Midge Campbell says like, I'm not a good mom or something along the lines of that or whatever. And
She says she has like, 2, 3 kids or something like that?
Yeah,
too?
like,
Yeah.
she has like 3 kids
yeah,
in total.
yeah,
With her
exactly.
One of her ex-husbands.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, like the scenes that really did it for me, because I mean, I was definitely like taken back by the if you don't wake up, you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. But like to me, the parts that hit me most and the parts that I resonated with most was when, fucking. We already kind of talked about it, but when Augie comes to the director and I was like, am I fucking doing this shit right?
Wow.
Because I think we all kind of go through those points in our life where we're like, am I doing shit right? I don't know I'm just kind of going by what I think I should do And I don't know if I'm doing right things. I don't know if I'm doing wrong things. Like, they seem like they're right, but they might not be. I don't fucking know, right? And so that part hit me because, like, I feel like I'm in that point in my life, right? I don't know what the fuck's going down. I don't know what the I don't know sometimes. And like when the director is like, "Hey, that's okay. Like, we're all just here. We're all just trying to figure out what the fuck to do, but we're all just kind of going. We're all just being. We're all just here. We're all just acting." And I think that's the part that hit me most. Is like, damn, you kind of just gotta be. Like, you can't worry about, am I doing this right? Am I doing wrong? Obviously, there are pretty obvious rights and wrongs in your life, but there's a lot of things where the lines are blurred and you don't know if, like, is this the right path that I want to take? Is this the right path that I want to take? And so that part hit me the most, for sure, especially on the second time. Like, I teared up on that part because, like, you really see, like, there's really not much emotion throughout the whole movie. Like, it's very kind of stale. Like, even the parts when, like, Augie's telling, like, his kids, like, hey, your mom fucking died. There's no, like, crying. Like, the kids are kind of just like,
well, I think there's not a lot of obvious emotion. I think the movie is very emotional, and, like, I think a lot of the actors' performances are very subtly emotional, especially with that family unit there. Like, when it comes to Tom Hanks, Augie, and
The three girls.
The three girls, not so much, but Woodrow. Those three, and they make it a point by the end of I think they are, in my mind, like, three of the main characters, I would say. I think a lot of it is based around their family unit. And they make it a point by the end of it to frame them multiple times together in the same shots of, like, you see the generations. It's like the father-in-law, him, and then the kid afterwards or whatever. But their performances to me are, like, more natural depictions of dealing with this situation. It's easy in a movie to tell a kid, like, oh, your mom died, right? And then have that kid fucking bawl their eyes out, right? Like, that's a very easy, digestible version of, like, an emotional sequence for sure, right? But I think it's, like, almost more fucking heartbreaking to have this more subtle version of, like, he tells his kids finally. The three little ones don't even understand, right? Which is like, oh my fucking God, that's already hard enough to deal with as it is. Like, they're like, when is she coming back? Blah, 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 this and that. That's real. That's how a fucking child would react to hearing their mommy's gone, right? And then Woodrow just being silent the whole time because he's finally getting the truth that he thinks he's come to 3 weeks earlier, right? Like, that shit to me is so much more heavy and so much more potent than if Augie told them, like, your mom's dead, and they all just started tearing up and crying. You know, like, that's digestible, that's easy, that's on the surface, but, like, this just feels so much more real to me, and in turn just seems like so much more heartbreaking of, like, damn, these kids are, like, not only having to deal with the loss of their mother, but also having to, like, figure out how to navigate this situation with, like, the crazy, like, neurotic fucking dad that they have at the same time too, who doesn't tell them their mom died until 3 weeks later, and, like, talks like a fucking fast salesman from the 1950s and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it almost feels heavier than if they just put all that straight up to the surface and whatnot, just because, I don't know, like, again, it's almost like the thing I was saying earlier about, like, when his stuff was fresh versus, like, when it got tired, like, in the middle, like, we can say around, like, French Dispatch or something like that. Like, I like more, like, subtle, like, ways of doing things sometimes, because that feels, like, to me, more real. I don't feel like, yeah, like, if you told those girls are what, like, maybe 4 or 5, right, around there, something.
Yeah.
If you told,
I don't know how old they were, but yeah, around
under 6,
4 to
right?
7, 6 or 7. Yeah.
If you told the kid under that age, they're probably not gonna just, like, start immediately crying. They're gonna ask questions of, like, that, right? Like, well, when is she coming back?
Yeah, when is she coming
Or
back?
how can we do our magic spells to, like, bring her back and this and that or whatever, or continue to try doing spells to revive her and shit like that shit's just like to me, again, just to me, that feels so much more like gut wrenching than just, like, a couple scenes of them just, like, bawling their eyes out, because it's like,
getting it out.
fuck, man, these poor kids are just, like, not able to even understand the truth, and are just, like, fighting against impossible odds to, like, not make that the truth, even though they don't know like what that's about or anything. It's just, yeah, it's just, oh man, it's good shit. I really liked it. So I think it is an emotional movie for the most part. It's just subtly emotional.
No. I think it is like an emotional movie, but I think the emotional points are very far and few in the movie, but they hold a lot of weight. Like to me, the part where he's telling his kids about like that wasn't like it was more funny than it was emotional, just because of the way the kids were acting.
Portrayed,
like
yeah.
you know, like yeah, it is like a heartbreaking moment that the kids kind of don't understand, right? But to me, like, they never really, like, come back to it. Like, there's never really, like, the kids aren't like, hey, like, when's mom gonna... Well, like, there's nothing other than, like, okay, like, yeah, he was procrastinating to tell his kids, and then, boom, he just told his kids. And then that was kind of, like, it. Yeah, there's, like, a moment with Augie when he's like, hey, yeah, my mom died 3 weeks ago. And everyone's like, fuck. But it's, like, there's nothing after that where I feel like with the mom until like the very end when Margot Robbie finally is there on the screen and they're having the conversation not as their characters but as the people playing the characters, just memorize like just reenacting like the roles. But I feel like there are other moments that are very emotional, that are subtle emotional moments, like when they're sitting there in the circle and they're playing the name game where they name someone and then they have to go through. And when fucking the girl that's in like the Girl Scout group, when she's like, I don't know, I kind of like doing this. Like, there's no other people that at my school that would want to kind of do this with me. And like that is like a more subtle emotional beat to me because it's like, damn, I'm finally here with like the people that see eye to eye with me, that get me, that like I fit in with. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's why I like those moments, because again, it's like that's something she doesn't necessarily wear on her sleeve. Like, yes, that's when she speaks her emotions out loud, but in the way that she's framed separately from her mom, in the way that like it takes her a while to join the group and everything like that, like you already feel that from the images that you're watching on screen before you even have to hear her speak. And like that's the kind of shit that I like. Again, this is me coming very, very freshly off of just beginning like my journey into understanding how much you can tell a story without even having to use words. Like 90% of the images that we see on screen are telling us what we need to know. Maybe not 90. That's maybe an exaggeration. But at least half, maybe even more of the information that we get from movies comes without the dialogue. Like it's all about the images and how they're placed on screen. And so I just like seeing that shit more recently of just like, yeah, don't spoon feed it to me. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it so perfectly. Like, I'm crying because I'm sad. And I'm going to tell you a little bit later that I'm still sad about this thing. Like, just show me that subtly in the background so that I can pick up on it. Like, I want more agency as an audience member. Like, and I want the director to trust me as an audience member more, to be able to pick up on those things, rather than them being so nervous about like, oh, I don't know if they can tell that this person's grieving or not. Like, maybe I should throw another scene in where they're crying. Or like, I don't know if this person can tell if they like are happy or not. So like, maybe I should make them say that they're happy again later, or whatever it is, you know, like just give me those more subtle, because that, again, like that just feels more grounded and more realistic to me. Like, that's how we interact with each other, right? I'm not walking around every day. I don't come into the podcast and be like, I'm fucking tired and I had a very slow, long Monday. But you can probably tell that like I was tired and I had a long Monday or whatever, based off of just like the cues that we know and stuff like that. So I like that subtle type of like acting and filmmaking and stuff like that recently. It's been very exciting to me. And I think this movie did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Some good shit.
I fucking agree, mate. I fucking agree.
It was quite good.
It's a fucking great movie, man. It was a fucking great movie. Like, honestly, even better the second time that I fucking watched it.
Oh yeah, I still want to go see it.
I think it'll get better the second time I watch it. The first time was just, again, just overwhelming at times, trying to figure out what was going on.
There's a lot happening.
Just like a Wes Anderson movie, most of them you're overwhelmed at first. I mean, any of his movies, you would watch it the first time and you'd be like,
it's just like
fuck is this story that he's trying to tell right now? And then you watch it a few more times, and I mean, the first time you watch one of his movies, you kind of get like all the comedy aspects of it, like the little funny parts. And then second and third time, you start to figure out like, oh, this is what it's about. Like, you know, like this is the message, or, you know, this is the story.
You get to like the heart of it a little bit more. Yeah.
I would say the part that I really fucking enjoyed was, obviously the kid, what was his name? The kid that kept jumping off of shit.
Oh yeah, he was
You
funny.
dare me?
That kid was
Clifford.
funny. Yeah,
Clifford.
Yeah, that kid
You
was
dare
funny.
me?
Like,
You dare me?
like that shit was so funny. And as an audience, right, you're at like, why does this kid keep asking them to fucking dare shit?
Yeah.
Like you're really like, fuck, why does this like?
Oh, and
why?
then he breaks down and he
Yeah.
explains it.
Yeah.
And it's not even like he breaks down. His just like his dad, Lee Schreiber's just like, why do you fucking like? Why do you always want to dare? Like
Yeah.
why? And he's just like, I don't know. Like I guess because like I just want people to remember me. You know, if I do
Yeah.
shit, like people are just gonna remember me. They're like,
Yeah.
oh damn. You know. So
And then it goes back to like, then they go back to like, so what's the dare? And he
So-
goes, do you dare me to jump on that cactus? And they're
No.
like, no.
See, I love that about Wes Anderson because there's so many times I think he does this very tastefully, where
Yeah.
it's like he knows how to like release the tension of a very like
Heavier.
heavier
Heavy moment,
scene
yeah.
with good comedy and
Yeah.
not something that's just like super like in your face. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty subtle. Like he's
Yeah,
just like,
no, yeah.
oh, you want me to go jump on the cactus? Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, and you're just like, oh fuck, that's
Yeah.
fucking great.
No,
you know?
it's good shit.
Because
Yeah.
it feels very like real world, you know, like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like some fake type shit, you know, like as much as it is like a movie about a play,
Mhm.
like the characters doing their shit feel very like real world,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it's also too the other thing that I wanted to mention as well is it's like it is another reason why I think it's like such a shell shock is it's a play. Like we're watching a play in terms of what happens to us in color, right? Like
Mm.
I'm sure you probably are more familiar with this because I know your family has a little bit of background in theater. I don't know how many like plays you've seen.
I can count them on one hand.
They are very dialogue heavy,
Mhm.
and they are very like fancily spoken words and well crafted words and whatnot, right? Like, and so I think the movie that we watch within the context of the movie, or the play that we watch within the context of the movie, is very much a play, which I like. Like, I think it's very cool that he like like you could almost do Asteroid City. I think you could. You probably could do Asteroid City on a stage.
Probably.
And it
yeah.
would work
That's one
very
Yeah,
well. Like you could
wow.
do all of the set pieces really well. All the acting
Not
works
all of his
perfectly.
movies you could do that.
No, but that one for sure you definitely
Yeah.
could. And
It
like
literally had one set. It didn't
Pretty much, yeah.
change locations.
Yeah,
they
it
were
all just
literally
happens to the
just
diner
at
right there.
Asteroid City.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they actually built that shit in the middle of a fucking desert.
see, that's cool shit, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, yeah. So that's another thing
They
too
had all
that
the
I think is
vending
shocking.
machines. He's like, "What's this one?" He's like,
The
what is it?"
land vending
He goes,
machine.
"It's the land." He goes,
Yeah.
"You buy parcels of land."
Yeah. No, yeah, but it's good shit. I liked it a lot. The other one that I remember cracked me up because I'm just seeing right there. His name is Rupert Friend, I guess, or Fiend, Firen. I can't read it all the way. Guy who played Montana. There's a group of
Oh yeah.
country gentlemen who have instruments and such, and there's like
yeah, they the fucking musical.
that shit cracked me up, bro.
Like
He's
Dwight.
Yeah, he's like, I have a song that I wrote for the Alien that I like to perform or whatever, and they
The
start
teacher's trying to teach.
Yeah.
She's like, "I don't have a curriculum for this yet. It just happened yesterday."
Yeah, and then she just like he just keeps getting interrupted by questions about the alien or whatever. And he's like, I've prepared a song for the alien that I would like to sing. And then like Montana just comes in from out of frame and he's just like, so we heard the kid had a song, we done learned it, so we're gonna play it for y'all real quick.
Like the whole band.
Yeah, and they just
comes
like
in.
all sit down really quick and they're just like bam, 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 bam. It's good shit, dude. That part fucking cracked me up. And the song was funny too. It was good. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it was good shit.
Yeah, I liked all the little kids who like having their own like comments on like where they think the alien
Yeah.
fucking went and shit like that.
Yeah.
I liked it, dude. I like that shit.
Yeah, I like also Montana's like view on the alien and whatnot, because like I feel like it's a little bit of like a subversion of like that stereotypical character, right? Like I feel like you would probably expect a cowboy type guy to be like, we're gonna take our guns and shoot that motherfucker into the sky or whatever.
Yeah.
But
he
he's
had,
like,
the opposite.
yeah, he's like, I reckon he's just a regular guy with friends just like us, and well, why can't we be friends? We all live in this
Yeah,
same
he's just
universe
from another
together.
planet.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
A very postmodern way of thinking.
Yeah. It was a good subversion of like the expectation of the typical cowboy. I liked it. It was good shit.
Yeah, that's why. Fuck, dude. That's why I like listening to that postmodernism podcast. Really put a lot of things just like into context and made me want to dive into like philosophy just a little bit more because these directors like Wes Anderson definitely have have these ideas in mind, and I am a person who is not smart enough to catch those without people explaining them to me.
Well, you know, the other thing too that like I always think about is it's like I don't know this for sure, but I would like to believe that when filmmakers end up having some type of philosophical like ideas in their movies, it's not because Wes Anderson read a book about postmodernism and then wrote Asteroid City, but it's like it's like an amalgamation of his experience with that idea, right? So it might not necessarily be representing like postmodernism perfectly or even like modernism perfectly, but it's his experience with those ideas over the course of his life that have led up to him making Asteroid City. And it's like that goes back to like the conversation I was having earlier, right? Where it's like that's why I tried to stay away from like some of those videos and stuff like that, because the internet does not like subjectivity.
No.
The internet is all about this is the reason why this happened in this movie, and this is the theme that you're supposed to get from this thing. And if it's not this thing, then this guy's going to tell you that it's something else. And you can't say that either one could be true because it has to be one or the other. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, it could be whatever you want it to be. It's totally fine. And like, it's again, like I can't believe in my heart of hearts as a creator that Wes Anderson is out here being like, no, this is what you need to get from my movie. Like, I think he very much puts an idea out there, but also leaves it open to the interpretation of the audience at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I think I would like to think that good filmmakers understand that people will react to their work differently and are therefore like open to the many different interpretations that people will get from them. That's not to say that they don't have an intent in mind. Obviously, he has a vision. But you always hear in interviews afterwards, right, where like years later somebody will hear a theory about their movie or a different like framing or perspective about it, and they're like, that's not what I thought, but that's really good. Like, I like that or whatever, you know what I mean? And like, I love that shit about movies, dude. Like, it's like we can all it goes back to like we can all watch the same thing and we can all get something completely different out of it. We can all have a wholly different experience with whatever it is. That's fucking magic. I think it's really cool.
No, yeah, I don't think he like read a book on postmodernism and was like, yeah, Asteroid City,
yeah.
But I think just because like it is such a common ideal that has been in our society for such a long time that he's probably just subconsciously writing the shit without
he's just absorbed it all.
Yeah, he doesn't like I don't want to say he does or he doesn't like think like write these things with like intent in mind, like with those intentions in mind. He might and he might not. But he
has a vision at the very least. It might not be centered solely on postmodernism, but he has something
I don't
that
think
he wants to do. Yeah.
I don't think it's just that, but I was just saying like listening to like exposing myself to like those philosophies, like you can see how they present themselves in different media, whether or not the director or producer or writer intended to put those things in there. So it's just an interesting like lens to view it in.
Yeah, it's more the interpretation of it.
And see like the different like, oh shit, like, you know, like you said, like you would think he would have a certain viewpoint on the alien, but then like your expectations are subverted and he has this other viewpoint and you're like, oh wow. But then yeah. It's cool.
It's good shit, man. It's a
fucking
good movie.
great shit.
Any movie that can get people talking and having conversations as much about like what actually happened, I think is a success of like just like a good intellectually curious like movie, you know? Because like if we were talking about fucking The Flash
Transformers
or whatever, we'd be like, it was really cool when Bumblebee punched that guy in the face. I mean, I know, but I wouldn't be like, why did Bumblebee decide to punch him in the face?
Why did Bumblebee use his left hand, not his right?
Exactly. So I appreciate that.
Why did he not do a roundhouse kick?
Yeah. So I appreciate that there's a movie in the theaters alongside all these other big box office budget, Spider-Verse, Flash, Transformers, whatever, that is challenging the viewers to think about what they just watched.
It's such a nice palate cleanser from the movies we've been fucking watching, dude.
It's good shit. Yeah.
Because like we've been 3 weeks of like, okay, not that Spider-Verse or anything like that was like, but it's like action movie, action
Yeah.
movie, comic book movie,
Yeah.
comic movie. And it's like, it's nice to have a movie where you can just absorb it and be like, what the fuck? Because I really liked coming out of the theater, the first showing, and being like, what the fuck was that?
Just happened, yeah.
That's why I had to go and watch all those videos to see what other people like were taking, like interpreting from the movie and be like, oh, okay, that like
This is the
makes
first
sense.
movie in a long time that I've watched that I asked myself that exact question of what the fuck did I just
What did
watch?
I just see?
And
Yeah.
it's not
And almost like I want to see it again so I could figure this out.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like, it almost felt like an Inception type shit where you're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, not from like the visuals of like shit shifting upside down, but there being
yeah.
like multiple layers and you being like, how do I even like begin to unpack this
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
myself?
this movie's a puzzle.
Like, dude, I was thinking about this movie nonstop for like
Yeah.
the past, like
We-
since I first fucking
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
it, and I
That's
was really like,
all
what the fuck?
we saw it, what, last Thursday?
Thursday,
saw it
yeah.
on
We saw it Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about it for like at least 3-4 days.
Yep,
Like at
the whole
least,
weekend
yeah.
it was on my mind. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, no, it's a trip of a film for sure, and it's definitely
And that one scene, when you, whoever, you know, if you're listening to this and you watched it, that one scene that we were talking about.
you'll know when it happens. Yeah.
You'll know when it happens. You'll tell yourself, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's eerie for sure. It definitely changes the vibe in the room. Like I would imagine it's maybe a little
Imagine
bit
if you fell
different.
asleep in the movies and you woke up to that scene.
Dude,
You're
I
like,
would-
what
no.
the-
Okay,
Freak
you want
the
to
fuck out.
know what's something
I was thinking
fucking
that.
freaky, bro? I don't think she wasn't as invested in the movie for it to have hit her as crazy. But Ev started to fucking pass out on me right before that scene happened. And then that shit started going, and I saw her, and she was like... And she just woke up to that shit, and I was like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck, dude? Like, holy shit. I was
That
like,
was
did that shit
fucking
wake her
funny.
up? What the fuck?
That was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Imagine
saw her
waking
like
up to that part. Just
Yeah.
you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. And
I
you're
was like,
what
oh
the fuck?
God. She told me that on
Am
the
I
way
awake?
home, and I was like, whoa.
Am I
Like,
still
holy
asleep?
shit, Yeah.
I saw her out of the corner of my eye, like pull out her phone, like in the movie, and I was like, oh yeah, she's not fucking with this at all.
No, she was saying like she did enjoy like the comedy aspects of it for sure, but I think it's just like
If you don't like Wes Anderson, you're not gonna like this movie.
I
I don't think so.
I think even still
Luckily, it's not too long of a movie. It's not like it's even 2 hours, right?
no, it's 145, but
Yeah.
it feels like 2.5 hours.
It does feel
But
kind of long. But
I
it's
w-
not super long.
I would even say though that like this is not bad. I don't want to put in that context, but this is not the right movie to introduce somebody to Wes Anderson. either.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his other movies are easier watches than this one is, for sure.
like
like-
Royal Tenenbaums,
yeah.
Life Aquatic.
Not all of them are as
Moonrise.
difficult to process as this one is. That's not to say that you can't get a lot from his other movies and even have multiple rewatches and stuff like that. But I walk away from like probably 90% of other Wes Anderson movies understanding what happened.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely the only one where I'm like, what the motherfucking shit did I just watch?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, if
Most of
you
them you'll
don't like, if you watch like a Royal Tenenbaums or Life Aquatic, and you don't like that, you're not gonna like this movie, like at all. Like, I don't see in any world where someone doesn't like the Royal Tenenbaums, and they're like, "Fuck, dude, I love Asteroid City."
because that's why I brought it up too. Because it's like, I think it's also again that's why I brought up the play aspect of it, right? Because she's seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is again like a super Wes Anderson movie, right? Super
Yeah,
fast,
it's just
snappy dialogue.
claymation,
It's
yeah.
it has the room moving and all the different scenes and all this framing and stuff like that.
That's a good introduction.
And
to
she
his-
loved that movie.
That's a good introduction. to
But
Wes
again,
Anderson.
this is different, even from his filmography. Like this is his shit dialed up to like fucking 20, not even like 11. Like he definitely goes pretty hard on this one, I think, for sure. Like it is very much him. I'm not saying that it's not his style, but it feels like his style on like fucking acid, bro. Like you
Yeah,
know what I
he
mean?
really,
Like this
like,
is some psychedelic fucking
He puts his
hardcore
style
shit.
like under a lens and is like, "How crazy can I just dissect
Yeah,
all
exactly,
of this shit and
yeah.
make it the most Wes Anderson?"
Yeah, exactly. By becoming the most Wes Anderson, it's also weirdly enough like somehow the least Wes Anderson at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I would say this is the most different movie I've seen from him ever. All of his other ones, I know what to expect. I know it's going to happen to me over the hour 45, the 2 hours, whatever's going to happen. This is the most fresh movie that I've seen. I think this is the most fresh movie that he's made probably since the first time he did this with something like Rushmore or Royal Tenenbaums, like hands down. Everything else, you know what to expect. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But this one is
The one thing I
just
would
like,
say about this movie too is not that it's a bad thing, but just watching it only one time is that there are so many fucking A-list actors in there that you almost get distracted by it.
Yeah.
Because like you'll see
Yeah.
an A-list actor in the background, and you're like, "What the fuck? That's so and so from and then you relate it to another movie, and then you almost like miss some dialogue because of it. So that's why again, like it's one of those movies you just gotta watch fucking.
I would
than
like
once.
to watch this movie by myself. Weirdly enough, because
me
like
too.
I went by myself to look
Yeah.
at this
I
last
wanted to
time.
see it by
because
myself.
I feel like
yeah.
when you watch, I even just mean like alone, like with nobody else, because like I feel like when you watch, like one thing I noticed was that like there was for sure many lines of dialogue that I missed because everybody in the theater was just laughing. And like there is so much that happens so quickly in like literally 5 seconds. You can get like a whole person's life story with
Such
how
witty
fast they're
dialogue,
talking.
Yeah.
This was one where I was like, "Fuck, dude, I needed subtitles so
Yeah,
bad for
exactly.
this shit."
Yeah, exactly. So like that's why I want to like sit alone where like I'll probably still laugh at the moments that are funny, but at least I can like focus in and be like, okay, but what's happening in between, like after the laughter or whatever like that, you know? Like what I would recommend watching it with an audience because I think it's definitely an experience to like go through this movie sitting with a bunch of other people, especially with that scene in question, right? But afterwards, I do definitely want to just like sit alone with it and watch it in my room, like you said, with the subtitles.
Subtitles would be good.
Yeah, so you can actually hear or read everything that's happening
Yeah.
because it's a lot. There's bajillion, thousands, hundreds of thousands of lines in this movie.
Yeah,
It's
like
insane.
fucking what's his name? Fucking Jeffrey Wright's character. Like when he gives his speech, and he's
It's
like,
so
"Chapter
fast.
1,
Yeah,
my father went to war.
Yeah.
The war to end all wars.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Blah blah blah." Like that
And
was so funny.
that was funny,
It was
yeah.
the worst to end all wars.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
end of chapter 1.
Or when he like
Yeah.
walks across the stage.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
some
he
shit
just moves
that.
like
yeah.
yeah, that was good shit, dude.
See, and like that's the thing. Like, there's always like little things about his movies where you're like, "Why did this person do this?" Like, when they're gonna like put the fucking boxes over their head, right? And the fucking ladies, the scientist is giving her speech, and she's like walking from one side, like walking away from the mic, and then walking in, and then walking away again. I'm like, why is she doing this?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are you having her do this? Like, it means something.
No, it does.
Does it mean something? But maybe that's the point. Again, maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
That's a part that he wrote in the movie that doesn't fucking mean anything.
Well,
but the whole thing is like,
Well, because what's crazy is like the double-edged sword of it is that like even if his intent is to send the message to the audience, this thing doesn't mean something. The way that he does that thing inevitably ends up meaning something because what it means is that you're supposed to realize that this doesn't mean anything, right? So it's like a weird fucking cyclical thing of like you can't make a movie without meaning something. You can do a vlog and it doesn't fucking mean anything. But especially Wes Anderson and how much work goes into crafting every single frame of his movies. Everything is a fucking painting, right? So there's never anything that happens where he's just like, I don't know, that looks good. I doubt it. I highly doubt there's ever a moment where he's just like, yeah, just do that. That looks fine. Like everything is intentional in this movie, even if the intention is to say you don't need to take meaning from this. You know what I mean? There's still intention in creating a scene that makes you think that.
Yeah.
Which is like fucking
I get
skillful to
that.
the max, bro. Like
I
this
get that.
motherfucker's insane.
Yeah.
He's,
Everything in the background has some sort of like,
all of it does something for you.
whether it's meant to pull you in or
Take you out.
take you
Whatever
out.
it is.
yeah.
It's still the director enacting
The one
his
thing
vision.
I kept noticing, which probably might have a reason down the road, is because I couldn't read them all, but the diner had so much fucking menu shit written on the outside of the diner.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like spare ribs. We got this. We got
Yeah.
that. We got that. And I was like trying to. Like every
See
time
every
it
one of
passed
them?
by it, because it passed by the front of that diner like a few shots.
Yeah.
Every time it passed by, I was like reading it, like, okay, what? There's got to be a
What they
fucking
got?
clue here.
Yeah.
There's
Or like
got to
the-
be a clue here.
Or like when they would show like the signs, I was like quarantine, like blah blah blah
Yeah,
blah blah. Like
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what does that say?
Yeah, you want to get all the fine details from it
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
Or all the vending machines. I was like, one of these fucking vending machines has to be like
Yeah.
fucking something
Yeah.
crazy.
Maybe it's just us as like we've consumed so many Marvel movies. We're like, where are the Easter eggs?
Well,
Where are they at?
but see, the other thing too, though, is it's like that has always been present in filmmaking.
Oh no, yeah, 100%.
From the very beginning, not necessarily Easter eggs, but deriving meaning from the things that we're looking at. Like that's just built into making movies. Again, unless you just are like making a bullshit fucking boring documentary about your backyard and you just like take some random shots of the backyard or whatever. Even still, that instills boredom into the viewer, right? Like by the fact of us capturing something on film or digitally, whatever it is, and presenting it to others, there is somehow, whether it's intentional or not, messages being pulled by the audience members. It might not be intentional on the director's side, but we are inevitably going to pull meaning from the things that we're looking at.
Subliminal messages.
Fucking beautiful. It's so cool. I fucking love movies.
Dude, yeah, this fuck, bro. Like,
It's such a trip. This
there
movie,
are
yeah.
so many good movies that have come out this year already.
Mm-hmm.
And
2023 is a fucking banger year for
dude,
movies,
this is
dude.
a crazy
insane.
year. I've been.
Have you
tripping
seen
out, bro.
Spider-Verse yet?
No, I haven't.
God damn it, motherfucker!
Have you seen Flash?
I haven't seen the Flash either.
Ah,
I
Go
heard
watch-
mixed reviews about that one.
Go watch
That's why I didn't see
Spider-Verse
it.
before you see Flash. If you see Flash with Bub, I think you're going to have a good time. I think even if you watch it on your own, you'd have a good time. It's not bad. It's not like phenomenal, but it's not bad. Spider-Verse, though, is pretty darn good.
How was the Transformers one?
It's
It's fun.
It's a
It's a fun
Transformers
movie.
I
Say,
think
I would say
I
take,
don't even
take
think
Bub
it's
to go watch it.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
a
I was
cool.
gonna
It's
try to
a
get-
fun movie.
I asked him about Transformers. He wasn't down with it, but I
He's
wanted to
got-
go see the Flash in theaters just to check it out.
He's got the right vibe about Transformers. Let me tell
Yeah.
you what. That movie was fucking boring.
Was it?
I didn't like that one.
I had fun.
I was bored. I was
I
bored.
mean, it's Michael Bay.
It's
Bay.
It's not Michael
It's
Bay.
not.
It's
That's
not
my
Michael Bay.
problem with it. I'm okay with garbage, fucking hot Cheeto finger, junk food Transformer
With
movies.
some,
but this wasn't even that for me.
is it like
bro.
a woke Michael Bay? Fucking...
No, it's not even that.
There's there's definitely not enough fight scenes.
No.
Oh,
in that
And
movie.
that's all I want.
But
That's all you
it's-
need.
You're like all the
But
fight
it's
scenes are in
fun.
the commercial.
But it's
No,
fun.
100%. Any action sequence that you saw is probably in the trailers.
Nah, you don't see the Bumblebee one.
Which one? At the end?
Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, but you see Bumblebee fighting, and like, it's like,
But that's the best one.
yeah, it is the best one. But yeah,
No, I want to see the Flash at least. I'll probably
The
wait.
Flash,
I'm not gonna see fucking that Transformers
think-
one in theaters.
I think the Flash.
I'll wait
Is,
till it comes out.
I think the Flash is definitely one you should watch in theaters just for the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably better on a big screen.
Yeah.
The spectacle helps a lot if you're watching it on a giant one for sure.
But
go see Spider-Verse,
DC
though.
multiverse.
Don't forget about Flash. Go watch Spider-Verse first,
Yeah.
for sure.
If there's one you're gonna watch that
yeah,
one.
if there's one you
Yeah.
can catch in theaters before it's gone, Spider-Verse is the one. Because that
Okay.
shit's gorgeous.
So crazy.
It's
Oh,
like
it's a good one?
it's all the animation awesomeness of the first one dialed up to 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a good story. I have issues with it personally, but it is still really good. The fact that I still have issues with it and I still think it's fucking awesome, like, says how good it is. I think
It's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
It's
I
awesome.
loved it. I fucking loved
it's
it.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys
this is-
watch Secret Invasion?
Yep.
I saw the first episode.
First
Mhm.
episode? I mean, that's all it's
Awesome.
out
It was dope.
Oh
so
yeah,
far.
It was
I was
dope.
You
super
thought it was
down.
good?
Fuck yeah, I was down.
Okay, cool. Because I watched it. I watched it twice actually. Because
Yeah.
I showed my brother and my mom it,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "This is a good show. I hope that fucking Ryan and Daniel."
Oh no, it was
fucking
dude.
super down.
I
shit
loved
on
it,
this
dude.
one
It was
because I was
so
like,
dope.
I like this one.
It's what I've wanted to see from Marvel for a cool minute. Cause like
it
it
had
is
Winter Soldier vibes.
it is that Winter Soldier s like that spy fucking
Yeah.
espionage type shit. But it's even more espionage because there's no like actual like superheroes like in
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what's
Not a
sad-
bunch of crazy animated scenes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. The only animated shit is like the scrolls,
scrolls,
basically.
yeah.
And I think that looks good. I think
It does.
looks
They
really
look
Think
good.
they
pretty
look
solid.
cool.
Yeah. You know what's sad though is unfortunately the rest of the Marvel fandom right now is not responding quite as positively to the show.
These bastards, bro.
No,
what do you fucking want?
No, that's the problem. Is that people, Marvel fans do not know what they want.
Like you
Yeah.
they fucking
It's like you don't want a show too funny. You want it funny enough.
Like, at least
now
when
it's too
I
serious
complain
all
Now
of a
it's too
sudden.
serious all of a
like
sudden.
at least when I complain about Thor: Love and Thunder, and then I get a Secret Invasion, I'm like, this is what I fucking wanted right here.
Well,
Yeah.
no, you know
but
what?
it's like when people complain about it's too this, it's too that,
The-
like I need more fucking this, and then
the-
we get Secret Invasion, they're like, no, fuck this.
The problem is that the Infinity Saga from Iron Man 1 to Endgame was just too fucking good. It was just way too fucking good, and nothing that they ever do again, as awesome and as fantastic and as heavy hitting as it might be, is ever going to live up to the expectations that fans have of what that was. So Marvel's fucked at this point. Like, quite frankly, they should have probably taken a break. But that's why I'm so excited to see what DC has coming in the future, because
I was
there is
thinking-
no expectations for them. Everybody's like, DC fucking sucks. So they can do bare minimum, and it'll be like, wow, oh my God, you guys knocked it out of the park. You know
what I
mean?
understand is they jumped into the multiverse, bro, and they but they kept like the same Earth story. So they jumped into the multiverse, like just show another Earth's like story based
jump
on
to somebody
those
else. Yeah,
like
those characters.
like you could have a different, I'm not trying to say like fall to the T, but you could have had like a whole nother like separate Iron Man story of a
Sure.
different fucking Iron Man and some crazy other shit that he went
Happens or
through
whatever,
on
yeah.
a different Earth, like even different philosophies on Earth, all that shit to make
Yeah.
it like more interesting.
Well,
you know, and then you had this whole, rather than we're just following the Earth that we are at.
That's
like,
also
and like this that streamlined story.
I think that also has to do with the fact that, as wonderful as it is that Marvel has like, and superheroes in general, and the idea of multiverses and alternate realities and stuff like that has blown up, people are not quite as onboarded as I would say they like to think they are. Because, like, yeah, multiverse stories are more normal. Multiverse. I
He's
love
really
the
hitting the
multiverse.
Is he really hitting the Gwitty on the podcast?
Multiverse stories. Multiverse stories are definitely more common nowadays, but that is what happens in the comic books. Like that, their publishers don't give a fuck. They will drop you in the middle of a story, and Wolverine is an actual Wolverine in prehistoric times or whatever, and you just go with it, and it's fine. But because so much of the money comes from this new wave of general audience members who hopped on with things like Iron Man and Avengers and everything up since then, they have to like slow it down a little bit. They can't just drop you into the middle of stuff, because people who have never read a comic book won't understand why Tony Stark is back on the screen again.
They'll see the title and
They'll be like, what the fuck? Iron Man died in Endgame. This is bullshit. You know what I mean?
Like, I thought
Like,
Iron Man died. Who's this guy?
Yeah. Because it's a good...
Or it'll be in the
This is
paper,
Iron
so it'll be like
Man.
they're starting Iron Man over again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's different. The movie medium is different.
No, I get it.
Yeah. But I agree with you. It would be cool if we could do shit. I mean, that's like what If is for. I actually saw a cool... I think it was official. It came from like CBR, Comic Book Resources, that apparently Disney is planning a more adult-themed What If series.
Ooh.
So we're going to get a second season of What If, all the animation, but then there's going to be a separate one on top of that that's like heavier themes, which I am fucking down to see. That would be cool.
I'm ready.
Give me some more hardcore shit that's like some What If stories, you know?
I'm ready. Real quick, what was your guys' rating on Asteroid City?
9.5 out of 10. I won't call it a perfect movie because I don't know that.
Based on all Wes Anderson,
No, just your rating of this movie.
Yeah.
like
Just standalone.
Yeah, just standalone.
just standalone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Probably like an 8.
An 8? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I say like a 9.7.
9.7. Okay.
It's
That's
very up there for me.
It is very
That's
up
good,
there.
but it's
Again,
not,
like I
not one
say-
of my more favorite. I don't know. Honestly, my rating would probably change if I saw it again.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you do. This is one where you need to watch it a couple
Yeah.
times, because like I was
Yeah.
telling I think both of you before, like it slows down for sure. Like that second time, and you pick up a lot more.
Yeah.
That like I was telling him, like when fucking at the beginning when Edward Norton's character is just giving you all the details, like he's saying it so fast. Where at the beginning I was like, what the fuck is going down? Like
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that he's giving you the description of Asteroid City before we even see it.
Yeah.
And then the second time I was like, oh, this is so fucking cool.
He's telling
this
you the
is
movie or
awesome.
whatever.
Like,
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
this is great. So
I will
Yeah.
say I'm not going to deign to try and judge it right now because, again, like you were saying earlier, I don't think I have seen I know I haven't seen every single Wes Anderson movie, but I think I can pretty safely say that it's probably not my favorite. I think it goes up there pretty high, but it's not my favorite.
Definitely not my favorite.
Yeah.
Not even in my top 3, unfortunately. Nah, well, maybe in my top 3.
I could see it being in my top 5.
Maybe in my top
And
3.
maybe
Definitely
my
in
top
top
three.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah.
ones that I don't like more. Like I don't like French Dispatch. I didn't like. I liked this one better than French Dispatch.
well, I've heard a lot of like French Dispatch felt like just kind of like almost like the Grand Budapest Hotel. Like
I
all
like
over
this one
again.
better than Grand Budapest, too.
Interesting.
Grand
I
Budapest
don't know.
is good though.
I've never watched that one. So there's
That
a
one
lot
is-
that I have
I
not
don't think
watched.
that's even him.
So I
right?
can't even.
No, it is.
Grand Budapest?
Yeah.
Grand Budapest Hotel is definitely
That's
Wes Anderson.
straight up him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, dang,
bro,
okay.
all the same, like most same actors and everything.
Mhm.
Grand Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen all of them, so I can't even say it.
The guy from Flash from the new Spider-Man. What's his? I don't know the actor's name.
Oh yeah, Tony Revolori.
Yeah.
He
I
was
don't
in
know
this
what.
movie too.
Mhm.
He was in this?
Yeah.
Okay, he's like the main guy
In the other
in
one?
Grand Budapest.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool,
he's like
yeah.
one of the main guys.
He's a good
yeah.
actor. He's like a side character in Spider-Man for sure, but he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah, this was fucking great.
It's a good movie.
It was a fucking great movie.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Hell yeah. Have you guys, you've watched Flamin' Hot? You watched Flamin' Hot, Jacob?
Flamin' Hot's awesome, bro.
No, I haven't watched
It's a movie
Dude,
about hot Cheetos.
Watch that shit.
Oh,
dude.
that's on my queue.
It's good,
I've
bro.
been wanting to
Watch
watch
it.
that.
It's so good,
It's really
bro.
good.
You know who else I
So
was gonna
good.
ask is I know you like The Bear. Have you watched the second season?
Is it out?
Yeah, it's out. All the
Oh,
episodes
cool.
are out.
I watched
need
half the
to-
season.
I need to. I think I started watching the first episode, but I started doing some shit, so I didn't
It's-
really get into it.
It's good. The episodes are short. They're like half hour. But what was crazy, bro, is I came to the 6th episode and I didn't watch it. But it's weird. They're all like a half hour, bro, and then the 6th one is like an hour and 10 minutes or some shit.
Nice.
So mid season they give you like a fucking
one.
long ass
It's like
one,
a
yeah.
mid-season special.
But
Yeah.
So they used to
I've
do
been
on
on
broadcast
the
TV.
I've been on the Apple TV train
Yeah.
recently.
really?
Platonic, super fire. Severance, super fire.
Oh, I
I heard
started.
Severance is good.
Ev showed
What's
me
Plutonic?
an episode of Shrinking.
Dude,
Shrinking's also good.
I binged
Yeah.
all of that yesterday.
It's good.
That
Shrinking is
might be my new favorite from Apple TV.
Really?
Dude,
Okay.
it was so
I heard
good,
about
bro.
Shrinking.
Yeah,
too.
Shrinking
It's
is
like a-
funny, and it's heavy too. It's
Yeah,
good shit.
it's a very heavy
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Jason Segel plays a therapist who lost his wife, basically. And so he's navigating through his life, trying to help out his patients while also trying to deal
Suffering
with
and
the
grieving
grief
at the same
of
time.
losing
Oh
his
yeah,
wife.
Ev was saying that. Like I think Ev was telling me about
Dude.
it. She was like, yeah, he just started telling his patients like what the fuck was up,
Yeah,
and then
he
their
just
lives
got-
just
yeah.
started getting better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's dude, I cried so many times
Yeah.
throughout that fucking series.
I
It
remember-
was so good.
I don't know.
I ugly cried, bro. I was sitting there.
Yeah, no, it's intense. It's
it was
heavy,
so
dude,
good,
yeah.
bro.
I was
Yeah.
watching it and I was like, oh my god, Marshall's in this show? Holy fuck. And then Harrison Ford pops on screen and I was like, Han Solo's a therapist?
Yeah,
What
Harrison
the
Ford's in
fuck?
it, bro.
I was like, yeah, give me
Fine.
this show, bro.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, if you only watch the first episode, you're gonna love him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh god,
No,
dude.
he's good.
okay,
It's
damn,
good.
I gotta check this
Yeah.
out.
Dude, Apple TV.
Apple TV has bangers right now.
Dude, their originals are fucking nuts.
They just need
Foundation's
more.
another good one.
I've read that they're on the up and up. I read that they're gonna like they increase their service though.
No, like, the price?
Yeah,
That's kind of whack.
don't know.
Not gonna
Ted
lie, that's a
Lasso's
bad
also
move.
on there. I haven't watched Ted Lasso.
I've watched
but
Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso's good.
Dude, that's what
I
I'm
watched that with my
saying,
mom.
bro. I think Apple TV might have the best like batting average for a fucking
Nah, bro, HBO.
HBO for
100%.
originals.
Oh,
for
dude,
originals.
for originals,
Years, bro.
yeah, for
They've
years.
been doing it since before streaming was even
Yeah.
a thing.
Okay.
They've been
They
knocking
did it
out
Okay,
before
well, if we're
streaming
talking
services,
okay, well,
yeah.
if we're talking about traditional HBO, but I'm talking about in the modern streaming era.
They're
I
on
would
the up and up.
I would
okay?
still take HBO. I would say Apple TV is a close second, but we've talked about this before. They don't have enough content. Yes, they have a good batting average, but that's like if they were only hitting one ball every fucking game. Like
Hey,
they're
man.
not out there taking a lot
If
of
I'm batting
swings,
1,000,
you know?
I'm
And they might
batting
be-
1,000, brother.
They might be taking it this year or maybe this year and the year before, but HBO's been doing it
That's really what I want from them is that I need to see from Apple TV in order for me to really put Apple TV at like that pinnacle of content producers. They need to be able to produce a plethora of good content. Right now, you get like what, maybe 3 shows a year from them, which is
Dude,
cool.
no, they have a lot of originals on there that I haven't dove all the way into all of them.
But Apple TV's been around for a long time. Severance is like 2 years old. Shrinking just came out like last year already. I don't think that's even a 2023 thing. Like they got a few years under their belt, and there's not quite.
But that's the thing. You're giving me banger after banger after banger after
no,
banger.
that's good, right? It's like a quality versus quantity thing.
Last of Us,
That's HBO.
banger,
That's
right?
HBO though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Banger, right?
Yeah.
House of the Dragon.
For you, that's a banger.
It's a borderline for people, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
a borderline. That's a borderline.
there's
For,
not
I would
like-
agree. Even as
there's
a Game
like-
of Thrones fan, that's a
like-
borderline
Yeah.
one.
The Idol, the newest one. I haven't watched it, but from what I've heard, not that great.
I heard that one's
also,
shit.
Also, only getting 5 episodes.
Okay. But writers.
I'm
strike.
talking about batting average here, brothers.
I get it.
Apple TV.
I
is-
hear what you're saying. Like I said though, you hit one ball, you
They're
have
going
100%
for the they're
batting
going
average.
for the silver slugger. Dude, they're like 5 for 6 right now, brother.
It's not bad. It's not bad. We talked about this before too. I just need to see more from them.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Apple TV is one of the most expensive streaming
I
services
think you
that
just
you
need
have
to
to pay
watch.
for.
Which ones have you watched from Apple?
Yeah, I heard
TV?
Apple TV is expensive.
I've seen Severance. I've seen Mythic Quest. I have watched a little bit of Ted Lasso, not a lot of it, and then I started watching Shrinking. I'm not trying to dispute the fact that they have a lot of good shows. Like I said, all I'm saying is you have to be able to produce a lot of content before you can be up there with the rest of the big dogs. They're new, they're babies.
Consistent.
You can't call them the best right away.
Even if it's not a lot, just consistent.
Yeah.
If everything you punch out is a fucking banger for at least 5 to 10 years, then you're right up there with HBO.
And honestly, it's also the price. Like, you are paying probably about as much
For like 3 streaming services.
Yeah, or if not even a little more than some of the streaming services, and you're not getting access to nearly as much content.
Here's what also makes Apple TV great, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're on Apple TV, say you don't find something, right? But you got Hulu, you got HBO Max. You've watched some stuff on HBO Max. Holy shit. On Apple TV, I can just click on what I've been watching on HBO Max, and I could just go over that.
Yeah, but like, is that really a plus?
I like it.
That's cheap though. That's a cheap move on Apple.
Why?
Because they're not giving you any more content. They're like, hey, if you're paying for something else, I can just give you a shortcut to that app that you're already paying for.
I'm here for shortcuts.
HBO is still doing the heavy lifting in that. Apple is simply profiting off of the work that HBO is doing in that regard.
Hey, man.
They're not giving
You make your money how you make your money, brother.
So because Apple has basically everything in their inventory already, like you could just buy it on iTunes or whatever.
No, they have a guide. So like if you have an HBO Max subscription, or what it's just called Max now, there's basically like a widget on Apple that will be like, hey, this is what you've been watching most recently on your other apps. Do you want to pick up where you left off?
Fucking.
It's cheap. That's what we were talking about.
Cheap.
Bro, that's what we were talking. Dude, that's literally what we were talking about with monetization and advertising earlier, which is like, give me a piece of that, motherfucker, because you're on my shit or whatever. Like, why are you going to pay money for a streaming service to give you the interface that you already have on your device?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm on Apple TV and I'm like,
it's just
you know what I'm
convenience.
saying?
It's
and it's
convenience,
just there, and I'm like, wow, I've been meaning to jump back.
You'll
into
know
there.
they're fucking biters if they come up with some like medieval fucking show or some shit like that, because they'll be trying to bite off The Witcher for Netflix and fucking Game of Thrones for fucking HBO.
If anything,
but then you can say like Netflix copied fucking HBO for doing fucking The Witcher after Game of Thrones.
Well, I guess you could.
It's true. I still think HBO is the king. I think HBO.
It's right up there. Yeah.
Will probably remain the king for a long time because they have banger after banger after banger, nigh on like 30 years now. In the streaming age, sure, maybe they're not doing so hot.
I'm saying the modern streaming era.
That's all right, but
again, if you take HBO in its totality, like, come on, you're going up with The Sopranos, you're going up with The Wire, like I'm talking.
Those things
modern streaming.
But those things have to be taken into account because those are still HBO. That would be like, what was the worst war ever, not including World War II? You can't talk about that one. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta include the history.
HBO has some of the best war specials.
Those are some vastly different things we're talking about.
Well, no, I just it's obviously like a very like exaggerated version of it, but you can't. All I'm saying is you can't leave out the history of something. If a platform has, if a producing company has done something well for decades at this point, just because they're struggling recently, I personally don't see that as a reason to say that they are not due the respect that I think.
No,
I
respect them. I respect them. I'm not saying I don't respect HBO or anything like that. I'm just saying you got to watch out for Apple TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the consistency from Apple TV is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You don't know. 10 years from now, Apple TV could turn to shit.
Okay,
bro.
but like early in Netflix, like were we getting banger after banger when they started doing their Netflix originals? How hit and miss were they?
They used to be good. Now they're hit and miss.
They
used to be better. I
honestly,
think Netflix originals were better.
I would say they're almost still hit and miss.
When were they ever like very consistent?
Never been.
There
really
was
consistent.
a point where Netflix was the king without a doubt. It might not necessarily be.
I would say they were the king.
It was the amount of content they had.
The content that they had.
Yeah, the amount.
But
it was
like
the amount.
when we're talking about original things that they are developing as a production company, I feel like Netflix has always just been like, yeah, this one's cool. This one fucking sucks.
Well, but you also
this one was great, but they fucking canceled it.
But you get things like Stranger Things. You get things like Black Mirror.
Those are diamonds in the rough.
Oh.
Well, yeah, but
I was gonna talk to you guys about Black Mirror.
I haven't seen it. He has though.
I started watching it because they're just random. I'll just pick a random episode here and there. That show,
it's wild.
Have you watched anything?
No,
he doesn't like Black Mirror.
I don't like Black Mirror. No, I think it's a way too hardcore ripoff of Twilight Zone.
I don't know. There's a couple episodes, bro. I think you should watch. There's a few on there that are fucking. There are some that I've watched, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
I've watched a total of like 4 episodes.
Have
of
you
Black
watched any of
Mirror.
the new episodes?
Yeah. The first one's really good. The second one's pretty good as well. But there's a lot.
Have you watched the one about the reporter and the werewolf type?
Mhm,
Shit?
yeah,
that
Rushmore.
one that's the first one I ever watched of Black Mirror, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
This season is very much, I think, different from the other seasons of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Because I think the other seasons of Black Mirror comments a lot on like technology and how crazy technology can be.
I noticed
right?
that.
Whereas this one is
Social
really,
media.
This one is very much like how much people are just pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like, I think the only one that's like crazy with like the technology is like the first one, because it's like
The Annie
Streamberry
Murphy
and
one.
they like.
I didn't watch the first one. Yeah.
You gotta watch the
I
first one.
watched
That one's nuts.
most of
The
the
trip.
one where the guys are on the fucking spaceship.
That one's crazy too.
That one's fucking nuts.
But again, it's more of like the technology isn't the focal point, which I feel like it was in past seasons of Black Mirror. Like, people were still
you're right.
pieces of shit in the past seasons, but I feel like it was more the focal point on like this technology that's giving people access to understand how other people are pieces of shit.
It's
Whereas
giving
like this
them
one,
more availability
just
to be
based
pieces
on,
of
like-
shit.
exactly. Whereas
Yeah.
this one is like people are just straight up pieces of shit.
Without
Yeah.
the technology, they don't
Yeah.
need it to be pieces of shit.
yeah, straight up.
yeah,
So, but yeah, Black Mirror.
crazy shit.
Yeah, that's a crazy show. I've watched like, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6 episodes, but I've jumped around. I went to some of the older seasons. I watched that black and white episode the other day too. There's like a whole black and white one where there's like these little robots that are like,
Oh yeah.
that
Like
one was-
the robot dogs.
yeah. That one was like more simple. I like that one because it was really simple.
That's all they walk, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you
like,
seen
like
robot?
those robot fucking AI dogs that they're coming
Little,
out
like,
with. Like that's how they fucking
yeah.
walk, dude.
I'm like, I'd fucking beat the fuck out of that little piece of shit.
Yeah, I'd fucking
Little
take a
bastard.
screwdriver to that one
To
of the
that
screws. And
fucking
Take
like,
his
guy,
batteries
yeah.
out.
yeah. What happens if I take one of your legs, motherfucker?
Yeah.
How you gonna walk now?
Poor little bastard.
All right, you guys got anything else on any of the Wes Anderson movies that we talked about? Anything else that we were gonna talk about?
Just that I am glad that there are conversational movies still being put in theaters.
Fuck yeah.
Mhm.
That's some good shit. I was
Fuck
happy.
yeah. Yeah, like you were saying, it is kind of like, when we're talking about Transformers, it's like, oh, I like this. It's fucking great.
It looked
That's
really
cool.
cool. Yeah, exactly.
It's a super conversational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually makes you think about what happened. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's good shit.
life.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit. It's good shit.
But all right, guys, that was episode number 63.
Crazy.
You know, you already listen to this on Spotify, but check us out on Apple Podcasts as well. Check us out on YouTube, where we
Yeah.
posted last week's episode. I know there's a bunch of episodes missing, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I'm just, laptops are finicky little beings. You know what I'm saying? Gigabytes and megabytes and all that are pieces of shit.
They're giga bitches.
It's
and
fucked.
mega bitches.
It's fucked up.
Giga
It's
bitches.
fucked up.
Giga bitches,
Fucked
bro.
up, basically.
Mega
But
bitches and giga bitches.
very much getting better at posting the videos and the podcast at the same time.
Mhm.
So tune in weekly on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube, 2i4TV, TOOHIGH4TV. That's the number 4, not FOR, not FOUR, not FORE. It's the number
4.
like that.
Cuatro.
Yes, follow us on Instagram as well at 2i4TV. And yeah, guys, so that was one of your hosts, Ryan.
Your other host, Cuatro Cinco.
God damn you, motherfucker.
And the guest Jacob.
Oh, fuck yeah, guys. And we will see y'all